Everyone, good evening. Saturday night. Great to have you guys here. And welcome, welcome, welcome. We're very excited tonight. We've got a big show tonight. And I appreciate everyone being here and us getting it going. Got a lot of stuff to talk about tonight, okay? So, yeah, give yourselves a round of applause. Thank you. Thank you, thank you. That's all for you guys, too. Not just me. This is for you guys being here tonight. Awesome to have you here. We got a really awesome show tonight with a lot to talk about, actually, okay? We have got a lot to discuss, so we're going to get right into it, and as people start to trickle in, but we're going to get into this right away and leave no stone unturned tonight, because tonight we're going to talk about it's the beginning of the end, right? For the Iranian regime, for the broader world order, for all these things we have, because again, we talked about the 2025 national security strategy before. We talked about the Trump national security strategy and what does it mean. But this is really the beginning of a lot of stuff. It's the beginning of the end of a lot of things, okay? And we're going to discuss what is going on. We talked about the Trump strategy before, but are we following this national security strategy? Are we following that? Is the United States following the Trump administration's 2025 national security strategy? Okay. So we're going to go through that. We're going to take a look at it. And there's a lot of news. There's so much activity right now. It's just crazy. Okay. So as people start to come in, I'll walk through a few things. Obviously, to recap, we had the capturing of Nicolas Maduro in Venezuela. Okay. Shortly thereafter, we have been seizing oil tankers, but we went to all the way over to the North Atlantic to seize a Russian oil tanker next. All right. And that's something that was a Russian flag tanker and could be conceived as an act of war. Okay. U.S. Special Operations Forces did that. But we've got a whole lot of stuff going on. Okay. On top of that, today, President announced that we will be striking Mexico, inside Mexico, striking the drug cartels on land in Mexico. We're going to talk about that. And almost if on cue, we had, as we discussed last night, a 2,000 deployment of 2,000 ICE agents and federal officers into Minnesota to deal with illegal immigration connected to the fraud cases. And as we talked about, have heavy political strategy there as well too. But there's a lot to talk about. Now, almost as if on cue again, we just had the president threaten the Ayatollah in Iran, saying that if you start shooting the protesters, we're going to come in shooting. Okay, so there's so much to consider here. It's tough to think about. It's tough to think about this, but it was last Saturday. Last Saturday was when we captured Nicolas Maduro. The news cycle has been insane. Every day something has happened. And obviously we had the tragic shooting happen just, I think, 3 days ago in Minneapolis, where the ICE officer shot one of the agitators, one of the people who was on ICE watch, right, who's a disruptor of ICE operations. The whole thing is tragic, as we discussed last night. And we're not going to rehash a lot of that, but just suffice to say, there is a lot happening. So when I say it's the beginning of the end, it's the end of the world as we know it. Okay, there is a lot here we have to digest. We have to talk about looking at the strategy, the broader strategy that's being implemented. Is the strategy good for the United States? Okay. And again, the purpose of my podcast is to upgrade your life. The purpose of the Ferocious Optimist podcast is to upgrade your life. So if you're new here, the purpose of the podcast, the purpose of my channel is to create positive, lasting change in the lives of people. Okay. My personal mission is to be an inspirational leader to create positive, lasting change in the lives of those that I work with, my followers, my subscribers, okay, in the lives of others, anybody who's in my orbit. Okay. So we are going to look at the broader context, how the world's on fire, the chaos. How do we deal with this? And how do we still operate? Not just survive the chaos, but how do we thrive in the chaos? That's what we're really getting to tonight, okay? So in order to do that, we have to understand the operating environment, the operational context. That's what we always did in the Marine Corps. We always do in the military, whether it's conventional forces or special operations. You have to understand the enemy situation, the environment, your operating context, okay? You have to understand the terrain, the weather, the markets, all these different things. For all of us, right, we want to win not just in battle, but in business and life as well too. So here we go. We're going to go ahead and look at the international context, what's going on. We looked at the domestic context yesterday, with the latest news from the Minneapolis shooting. But we're going to take a look at what is going on around the world. And then I'm going to come back to it, and we're going to talk about, how does this impact you? How does this hurt you? How does it help you? What is the implication of all this? So what? What does it all mean? Why should you care? We're going to come back to that. How it's going to impact you in your pocketbook, how it's going to impact us here, how it's going to impact even the use of our passport, all these different things like that, okay? We're going to hit this. But again, give yourselves a big, big round of applause for being here tonight. It's really exciting. Proud of you guys. Good job. You made another night. Awesome job. Got the best chat in YouTube land. No doubt about it. Let me give some shout outs really fast for everybody who's here right now. Lisa Jones, what's going on? Lisa, good to have you here. Lady Ann Hearts USA, great to have you, Lady Ann. Mark, what's going on, brother? Great to have you. And I've got Joe Saunders up in here. What's going on, Joe? How you doing? Good to have you. Lisa Zien, great to have you. What the hell? Hey, Lisa. Lisa says, what the hell? Joe Saunders, got you. Cody Fisher's up in here. What's going on, Cody? Good to have you, man. All right, we're going to get this thing rolling. And before we go, we're going to do one more little quick round of applause for all of you. Because again, you guys were here last night for a Benathon. You're here for another Benathon tonight. We're going to get this thing going. I've said it before, I'll say it again. We get the best chat on YouTube. This is the smartest group of people, most collegial, good discussions. You can agree to disagree, you can disagree, you can argue things around, but we got a smart group in here, and we all learn from each other, which is fantastic. So we're going to keep everything above the belt, okay? Slug it out. We'll have some good discussion, but let's get it going. Here we go. We're going to get rolling. One more round of applause for all you guys, because you're the best. The best on YouTube. It's Saturday night. Proud to have you guys here. Let's get this thing rolling. Here we go. All righty. Okay, so we're going to lead off with our first story. The first thing we're going to look at is, recently the president went on Hannity, okay, and he was discussing what was going on with Venezuela, okay? And so I want to do a rehash of this. I want to make sure we're all tracking, so what about Venezuela, right? Why are we doing this? What's coming out about it? What are the bigger, broader implications, okay? So as people start to trickle in, I want to say that there are a few big things that I think are important, okay? Some of the things we can confirm right now. First of all, this is confirmed, okay? We have captured Nicolas Maduro. We all know that by now, right? And we are starting to work on the oil flows, okay? We're still seizing tankers. We all saw what happened with the Russian tankers, the Russian flag tankers seized in the North Atlantic. This is a big deal. It sends a huge shot across the bow to Putin as well, too. But I'm going to talk about a little bit later, I'm going to discuss this, was this an act to send a shot across the bow to Putin and concern him? Or was this more about Western hemispheric hegemony, like owning the Western hemisphere and sticking with the Monroe Doctrine, sticking with the Don Roe Trump corollary to the Monroe Doctrine and just owning the Western hemisphere? We're going to talk about that a little bit. While I'm at it, put your vote in for the poll, okay? Should we strike the Mexican cartels on land? Should we begin doing that? The president, we're going to talk about this, the president just announced that we are going to be actually striking them, okay, in Mexico on land. That's going to happen very soon. But I want to get your opinion on that. Should we be doing that? Okay. So some of the things that we can confirm as well too. Trump has actually issued an executive order creating a process to designate cartels as foreign terrorist organizations, okay? And he's designated specific groups. The administration is discussing right now and trying to think about expanding military operations. And the Trump president just came out with it today, saying that we are going to strike the Mexican cartels on land. I think it was this morning. While Mexico has publicly rejected this idea. Okay, to be clear, what's her name? Sheinbaum from Mexico. Okay, Gloria Sheinbaum from Mexico. She actually said. She said a lot of, she had a lot to say negative and did not agree or concur with the strike to grab Nicolas Maduro, okay? The capture and extraction of Nicolas Maduro, okay? She did not agree with that, said this is against international law. So she, gave us a hard time about it and gave Trump a hard time about it, gave the United States a hard time about it. So you see, hey, Tim Burke, what's going on, man? Happy Saturday, brother. Great to have you. But you see already when there's pushback like that, President Trump then turns his eye, right? Turns the focus onto Mexico. And you're next. He turned the focus onto Colombia. Okay, and what did Colombia do? Colombia said, hey, I'm going to give you a phone call and we're going to work this out. Colombian president called him and worked it out. Okay, and so you can see here that if you go against President Trump, you go against the Trump administration in the Western Hemisphere, they're going to take quick action. So this is in keeping right now with their 2025 national security strategy. But let's go into this a little bit more, all right? The next things that are coming up are Greenland. Greenland came up again today in the news, and President Trump publicly said that we will do something in Greenland. They might not like it. They may not like the way we do it, but we're going to do it. Because if we don't do it, either Russia or China are going to do something. We cannot have Russia or China in our backyard. Hey, put a 1 in the chat if you heard this about Greenland today. If you heard that the latest about Greenland. Put a 1 in the chat if you heard that we are talking about, President Trump talking about, we are definitely going to do something in Greenland. And it's not just buying Greenland, okay? Not just paying for Greenland, but we're going to do something in Greenland, okay? Put that in the chat. Give me a 1 in the chat if you heard that today. All right? And so there's a lot to discuss here, and we're going to get right into it, okay? Let me play this first video. And again, you guys are awesome. Best chat on YouTube. Here we go. Let's watch this first video. Okay. Here we go.
Here.
Well, I have.
Great to see you, sir.
I didn't know it was a full hour. It was going to be maybe 10 or 15 minutes. But you do that to me every once in a while.
I think I was pretty clear, but thank you for your time. We always appreciate it. There's really not much in the news, so there's not a real lot to talk about, but let's start with Venezuela. Narco-terrorist, indicted, guy that we're losing 200 Americans a day to drugs.
Yeah.
Walk us through this decision in Venezuela.
Well, it wasn't a hard decision. Democrats wanted him and Republicans wanted him, and nobody had what it takes to get him or didn't want to get him. I don't know. Something happened, but he killed a lot of people. He sent a lot of bad people into our country. He emptied his prisons into the United States. He emptied his mental institutions and insane asylums into the United States and did a lot of very bad things, but he was a big drug pusher. You see that because all the boats that we shot down, they came out of Venezuela. A lot of drugs. There's a lot of boats and a lot of drugs. There are very few boats operating right now. There's almost no boats. You can't find any boats.
I don't think anyone would go fishing in those
Not a
waters.
lot of people want to go fishing anymore. But we've knocked out 97% of the drugs coming in by water. And we are going to start now hitting land with regard to the cartels. The cartels are running Mexico. It's very, very sad to watch and see what's happened to that country. But the cartels are running, and they're killing 250, 300,000 people in our country every single year. The drugs, it's horrible. It's devastated families. You know, you lose a child or a parent. I mean, parents are dying, too, with drugs. So we've done a really good job. We're knocking it down. The numbers are really getting to be, they're always going to be too high if you have one person, but they're going down just like the border. The border was a total mess for.
All right. We'll come back to this in a minute. Okay. But what I'll discuss right now, we're going to talk about striking the Mexican drug cartels. What does that look like? What does it mean? What's going to happen? Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and share a map with you guys. First of all, let me put in the chat if you have seen, I'm going to say this. Have you seen the series Narcos? Okay. Put a 1 in the chat if you saw the series Narcos. Okay. I think it was a Netflix series, Narcos. The first one had Pablo Escobar. The second one had all the, like the Sinaloan cartel and all the Mexican drug cartels. But put a 1 in the chat if you guys have seen that. If you've seen the series Narcos, okay? That's actually, I thought it was very informative in a lot of ways. I mean, again, we have our law enforcement officers and people who've done the counter drug operations can really say, you know, hey, how accurate it is. As I've had one of my friends say that has done stuff down there and has actually done a lot of extensive work down there and said, looked to me and just said, it's a movie. It's like a movie. Okay. Zero Crusader. Okay. See, Lisa says no, 9. Okay. Mark 1, unsecure signal 1. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to go ahead and share this different tab here. Let's take a look at, these are the drug cartels in 2011. All right. So here we are in 2011, and if you've seen Narcos, you've seen that show, you'll recognize some of the names here. Okay, these are drug cartels in Mexico, and like I said, if you've seen Narcos, you're going to recognize some of the names. So check this out. You can see here the Arellano Felix organization. Okay, that's up here in the Northwest in the Baja Coast near California. And again, if you saw that series, for me, it illustrates it. If you're an actually DEA agent who's worked there, you know a lot more about this, okay? I'm just giving you in layman's terms, right? I've done a lot of military stuff, have some mixing with the interagency on drugs, but I don't know it like a DEA agent would or someone who's really studied this problem. So that's why I'm referring to Narcos. Here's the Cartel Pacifico. Again, this is 2011. This is 15 years ago. Los Zetas here, okay? And the red. The Sinaloan Federation, probably one of the most famous that we hear of still today, is all in here. But you can see how many there are. There's so many different drug cartels there, okay? And everybody just put a 1 in the chat if you're tracking right now, if you're following along, okay? Just give me a 1 in the chat. Yeah, exactly, Crusader. I know it too. Oh, does he? Okay. The real Steve Murphy has his own podcast, Game of Crimes. Interesting, Mark. Interesting. I got to check that out. Okay, guys, so if you haven't, put a 1 in the chat if you're tracking with this right now. This is 2011, just so we're clear. You can see the date at the bottom. 2011, the situation. So that's how things were around the time of the Narcos show. Narcos show is probably even earlier than that, actually. Pablo Escobar was years earlier, way earlier, okay, in the 80s, and then early 90s, late 80s. And so the Narcos show was even before 2011. But let's say early 2000s when the Narcos show finished out. And again, correct me in the chat, Mark, if you know more about this or any of you guys are DEA, know more about this. I'm just riffing right off the top of my head. But that's how things sat in 2011. So let's take a look here. Okay, now this is actually what's left. Okay, right here. Here we are, 2021. So in 2021, the big ones that are left are the Sinaloan cartel in the middle, okay, and here, anything red, and then the local groups are just spread around. So really, the biggest one is the Sinaloan cartel and the CJNG. All right, so really two big groups that last, okay? And some of the conflict zones here, you can see the CGNG versus Sinaloa is dead center where their territories come together, okay? And then you see Sinaloa versus the Juarez cartel, all right? Again, Juarez near Juarez, Mexico, near the Texas border, the border of Texas. Zetas, okay? So they have a lot of conflict as well too. But this is an interesting article. We're going to walk through this really fast. So this is as of yesterday. This article came out yesterday, okay? So Trump's threats to hit land in Mexico, the escalation logic, operational limits, and political effects, okay? President Trump signaled that the U.S. would begin hitting land against drug cartels. This was literally like yesterday, asserting that cartels are running Mexico. He said this after Gloria Sheinbaum basically said that she didn't agree with the U.S. capturing Maduro and really denounced it, okay? So she came out, was totally against it. Trump obviously has now turned his focus on Mexico, he said, actually, it's a failed state. The cartels are running Mexico, okay? And saying that military action could extend beyond maritime interdictions. And in fact, that's what he announced today, that we're going to strike on land in Mexico. Threats come immediately after a major U.S. operation in Venezuela, creating a perception of widening Monroe Doctrine-style coercive posture across Latin America. Okay, so that's what's going on. Strategically, Trump's posture aims at 1, to restore deterrence against transnational criminal networks, 2, demonstrate strength without war at home, and 3, force Mexico into deeper security alignment with Washington. Okay, this is according to Robert Lansing Institute, Global Threats and Democracy Studies. Okay. Again, RLI. Thank you for the article. Appreciate it. Robert Lansing Institute. Got some good analysis here. And number 3, force Mexico into deeper security alignment with Washington. But operational effectiveness against cartels is uncertain, and escalation risks are high due to sovereignty sensitivities and cartel adaptations. All right. Why now? The timing and drivers of escalation. I think this is very important. The political sequencing after Venezuela. All right. Trump's threats appear designed to capitalize on momentum from the Venezuela operation and reposition the administration as decisively back in the hemisphere with coercive power. U.S. press accounts frame this as part of a broader posture that could include Mexico and Cuba. A domestic narrative, fentanyl is national security. Trump's threats align with his administration's framing of fentanyl and cartel violence as an existential national security issue. Okay? When we say existential, that means it could wipe out the U.S. It could end the United States. All right? This is rather than a policing matter, it's an existential national security issue. This creates justification for military tools. ISR, which is intelligence, surveillance, and reconnaissance. Okay? Raids and special operations. The coercive bargaining with Mexico City. Mexico's president, Claudia Sheinbaum, I called her Gloria. Claudia Sheinbaum, I apologize. Claudia Sheinbaum has repeatedly rejected foreign intervention on sovereignty grounds. But boy, she needs it. I'm going to tell you what. They need it. Trump's threats should be read as pressure diplomacy. Force Mexico to choose between 1, deeper intelligence and security integration with the U.S., or the risk of unilateral U.S. action. Reuters reporting indicates Mexico may seek tighter cooperation to avoid suffering Venezuela's fate, precisely the coercive effect Washington likely wants. Okay? This is the spread of the cartels. We covered this. We looked at that. Now, this is a very interesting map. Let's take a look at this. Let's talk about this a little bit here. Okay? Let's talk about this for a second. And chat, let me know if you guys are tracking along fine and this is making sense. You're tracking, put a 1 in the chat. Okay? I want to make sure everybody is following, tracking along. And if you have any questions, just go ahead and put it in the chat and we will get to it. Okay? We got a lot of smart people in this chat, honestly, and a lot of people can answer a lot of questions. We have law enforcement, we have government, we got military, we got business people, we got left wing, we got right wing, we got center wing, we got a lot of cool people in here. Okay. So the one thing is we all get along pretty well and we have good discussions and nobody toxic hangs around very long. And also, I'll kick you out too. So, all right. So let's check this out. Everybody give me a 1 in the chat if you're tracking. Awesome. I appreciate you, chat. We got the best chat around. You guys are on fire as always. All right. So let's take a look at this. Here we go. All right. Thank you, Mark. Thank you, Lisa. Sue. What's going on, Sue? Thank you, Kyle. All right. All right. Here we are. So the drug cartel areas in Mexico, right? We looked at this, but now I want to go down and I want to look at, sorry, I looked at the wrong one here. Here we go. Right here. Cartel territories and drug routes. The Tijuana cartel. Let's start with the green. Okay. I'm going into the key here. So everyone's tracking along with me. We're looking at the key. Tijuana cartel. That's up in Tijuana. Imagine that. Near San Diego. What the hell? San Diego, Tijuana cartel. Okay, they're there. This green area, Baja, Mexico, is run by the Tijuana cartel. The Gulf cartel is all the way here. The Juarez cartel near Juarez, Mexico, right near El Paso, Texas, is in the purple. The Sinaloa Federation, still around, is the orange. All this orange area. Okay. Or actually, all this orange area here. And I'm sorry, the Gulf cartel is along here near Monterrey, Tampico, Veracruz, near Cancun, all these places, okay? Let's look at the flow of drugs. The red arrow shows the flow of cocaine, okay? Oh, look at this. From Colombia, Venezuela, Brazil. So it's not just the Trump administration saying this, obviously. Colombia, Venezuela, Brazil. And then from Cancun here, you have a flow of cocaine. It comes in to Cancun, flows out of Cancun into Reynosa, Tampico. Okay, we're going to go from right to left, from east to west on the map right now for drug flows. Okay, everybody? Cocaine then flows across the country. It also comes up from Colombia across land. All right. And again, here's all drug traffic comes up the East Coast, comes across the Texas border. A lot coming into Texas there. Now, and you notice the red arrows are coming from the ocean. So was President Trump, was he telling it like it was, like it is? I think so. A lot of drugs flowing on the seas. It's a lot harder to police on the seas, okay? Oh, we do. We do talk about our stuff. Don't worry. Don't worry. You're right about that. You're right. We did domestic last night, Mr. 3232. We did domestic last night. We covered the Minneapolis shooting. Go ahead and look at my live stream from last night. Tonight is international and a strategic outlook for the national security strategy. This is more of our foreign policy night tonight, okay? So, but check out the live stream from last night. We definitely do care about domestic for sure. But tonight's a different night. We're focusing external tonight, okay? So you can see the drug flows, right? And let's see the green. The green is marijuana and meth traffic right here. It's going up the yellow Gulf cartel up the East Coast. Now, where is the ephedra traffic? Ephedra traffic's coming right up the middle. This is methamphetamines, okay? The meth is all coming up the middle. And then look at all drug traffic. This is going to mean fentanyl, all those things, okay? This is coming up the West Coast into California, across Tijuana, San Diego, into New Mexico, into Juarez, into Arizona. So California, Arizona, New Mexico, and Texas. Big drug corridors right there, okay? And you can see they're using the sea quite a bit to navigate inside Mexico and then from other places. Now, let's look at ephedra traffic. Big blue arrows on the West Coast, okay, on the left side of the screen. You can see here the big blue arrows, okay, everybody, big blue arrows. Military, you're going to laugh, big blue arrows. Big blue arrows here is ephedra traffic from China, okay? Now, this is also allegedly fentanyl ingredients are being trafficked from China. So they're tracking a lot of drug flow from China. Sometimes they say it's state-run, they think. Sometimes maybe not, okay? So there's a lot here to consider. All right, everybody tracking on the map. You guys give me a 1 in the chat if you're all tracking on the chat. Give me a 1 in the chat if you guys are following along on the map. Okay, if you're tracking from that map, give me a 1 in the chat. All right, awesome. I want to make sure everyone's tracking. Okay, thanks, Lady Ann. Make sure everyone's tracking there. Okay. Got it. Thanks, Samantha. Thanks, Mark. Lady Ann. Thanks, Sue. Thanks, Crusader. You guys, we got a great chat. I'll tell you what. I appreciate you guys. If you haven't voted in our poll yet, okay, the poll is, should the U.S. strike the Mexican drug cartels on land? The president already said we're going to, so I'm afraid your vote won't matter that much. But inquiring minds want to know, and I want to know what you guys think. Okay, should we do it? Because actually, your vote will matter because your voice matters. And so if enough people say enough things, you can actually change the course of policy as well, too. Because I'll tell you one thing, the president definitely wants to have a popular impact, as you can see what he did with the credit card debt, changing credit card policy, right? So that's a big thing. It's a whole other live stream, but he said he capped the credit card interest at 10%, he's saying, for the rest of this year. Okay, we're going to see how that works and works practically in practicality, but not a bad start. Okay, all right, everyone's tracking along. Awesome. I appreciate you guys. Good, thank you. I'm glad you liked that map. Cool. Okay, so we're taking a look at this. And let's go down here. Okay, the effectiveness. Would land strikes, ground operations break cartel power? Tactical success is plausible. This is what the study is saying. Strategic success is not assured. I think because there's so much money to be made, and the drugs are really the lifeblood of these organizations, okay? So tactical success, plausible. a U.S. strike or raid model could produce visible tactical wins. Elimination, capture of selected leaders, destruction of labs, caches, logistical hubs, disruption of specific corridors. But the strategic history of cartel wars suggests limited durability. Okay, cartels behave like adaptive networks. Leadership decapitation of the cartels often fragments the groups into more violent splinters. Okay, disruption shifts flows rather than ends them. So because they have such an incentive to deal with these drugs, they make so much money, and then plus the corruption from the local governance captures and regenerates capacity. Okay, local governance capture meaning they make a lot of money off the drug flow as well too, from corrupt practices, from the flow of money. The cartels give them money to keep the pathways open. It regenerates the capacity to deal with the drugs really quickly. So remember, the cartel military vulnerability is not the same as cartel political defeat. That's what he's saying here, okay? Even significant operational pressure rarely dismantles cartels unless it's paired with sustained Mexican state consolidation, police reform, anti-corruption, judiciary capacity. Good luck with that. Good luck at that. Put it in the chat. I want to see this. Put it in the chat. Give me a 1 in the chat if you think, actually give me a 0. Give me a 0 in the chat if you think that that the Mexican police cannot be reformed. Give me a 0 in the chat if you think the Mexican police cannot be reformed with the current makeup of Mexico right now. Okay, just give me a 0 if you think the way they are is the way they're going to be. The Mexican police, give me a 0 in the chat. Okay. If you think they can reform, if you think the Mexican police can reform, give me like a thumbs up, okay? If you think the Mexican police can reform, give me a thumbs up. But if you think there's zero chance of them reforming, give me a 0, okay? Mark, our veteran law enforcement officer, says 10 zeros. That's a once in a decade answer, Mark. That is a once in a lifetime answer. Wow. Crazy stuff. Okay. So again, we're talking about, so everyone has an understanding, we're talking about the cartel territories and drug routes right now, if you're new here. Okay. And guys, like I always say, please don't forget, remember to like, subscribe, and share. Definitely would be very helpful for the channel. Okay. So remember to like, subscribe, and share. I appreciate it very much. Smash that like button for me. Thank you very much. Okay. So let's talk a little bit more about this. It's a great study. And I figured instead of reinventing the wheel, we're going to read this together and we're going to see what a good study this is. And I'll riff off it and we'll talk about it. Okay. But again, the only way we turn this into a political defeat for the cartels is sustained Mexican state consolidation, police reform, anti-corruption, judiciary capacity. As you can see, our own damn country has so much corruption, so much fraud. How can we expect Mexico to reform and be ready to deal with the cartels with judiciary reform, police reform? I mean, come on, right? So it begs the question, what effect will this have? Well, that's what we're going to look at, okay? So another political defeat would be financial warfare against cartel banking and asset systems. Now that we can do. That we can definitely do. We could really make it very hard for them, very uncomfortable. We can ruin the financial flows because if any of you know, the SWIFT system, all financial transactions flow through New York City. That's why we can track financial flows and transactions across the world because almost every transaction flows through New York City. The Chinese don't like that. They're trying to build an alternate system that doesn't have everything flow through New York City, okay? I can't blame them, actually. But after World War II, the United States was the leader in rebuilding the world system through the Bretton Woods Accords, okay? And built through the IMF, International Monetary Fund, the World Bank, built these capital flows and built this financial system, okay? Had the lead on it. And so that's why everything goes through New York. Pretty convenient for shutting down cartels. So that could happen. Next one, okay? How do we deal a political defeat to the cartels? This is what we're talking about. The next, persistent border, port controls, and precursors and weapons. This has a lot to do on precursors and weapons. Precursor drugs, precursor chemicals, and also weapons. I think we'd have better success with that. So again, number one, sustained Mexican state consolidation, police reform, anti-corruption, judiciary capacity. It's not going to happen. Not going to happen. Financial warfare against cartel banking assets and systems. Yeah, we can do that. Persistent border ports controls on precursors weapons. We can definitely make it much more difficult for them. Okay, so it would reduce their operations. It would reduce their power, reduce their freedom of action. Okay, which can be significant, can be a significant hit on them. Okay. So in other words, what he's saying is that kinetic action can reduce capacity, but it does not solve the institutional conditions enabling cartel power. Mexico's internal security trend complicates the justification. Okay. The 4 core risks for the U.S. Risk number 1, sovereignty backlash and bilateral rupture. Mexico has clearly signaled coordination, but not subordination. We don't like that. This will have a unilateral operations if the U.S. just does it alone, will risk collapse of security cooperation, downgrading of intelligence sharing, retaliation through migration and trade pressure. Isn't that interesting? Isn't that interesting that this is even a thing? That we're saying that Mexico will retaliate with migration, sending basically the worst people across the border into our country? I mean, honestly, it's terrible. Terrible. It's terrible when you really learn that they actually do this. So, and then long-term anti-American mobilization in Mexico. So we have to be very careful about how we go about these things. And I say very careful. We have to be careful about how we go about these things, okay? So Reuters notes that Mexico will likely increase cooperation behind the scenes precisely to avoid U.S. unilateral action, meaning that Trump won't come in there and do a Maduro, right? Or start just striking, blowing up headquarters of cartels, things like that. I think President Trump is deliberately escalating leverage. That's what they're saying in the report here too. So that's one risk. Number 2 risk, cartel retaliation on U.S. soil, a very real risk. Okay. Cartels have asymmetric options. Now, I will say a lot of my brothers in the special operations community, a lot of, fellow veteran podcasters, especially from the War Room crew, from our old War Room my War Room code hosts, they have talked a lot about and done lives and done, videos on how the cartels will be very hard to fight against. I don't share the same opinion they do on that. I don't agree 100%. I think they'll be hard, but I think the hardest thing about them will be they can do strikes on U.S. soil. Okay. I think U.S. forces will really, really put a huge smackdown on them, but we will have problems along the way. If we make it really bad for them, of course they're going to do retaliatory strikes. Of course they will. So, obviously that nobody wants to lose people along the way for this either. Okay. So that's one thing. The retaliatory strikes, I think that is a real asymmetric option. Attacks on U.S. personnel near the border, intimidation of U.S. consular targets, disruption of commercial routes, escalation of migrant smuggling, weaponization. If cartels interpret strikes as existential, they would internationalize the violence. They would take the fight to us in the U.S., assassinations, murder, and intimidation. Is that existential for us? No, it's not. Not at all. Okay. It'll be a law enforcement fight. They probably would try to do some almost domestic type terrorism or terrorism in the U.S., but I don't think they would turn it into Al-Qaeda proportions. I don't think that's their MO. I think they would cut a deal. Personally, I think they would cut a deal because they want business to continue. I think they would lower their level of drug trade to a point where the U.S. could arguably look away from it, and it would go under the radar. Okay, just like the mafia talked about 30 years ago. Keeping an acceptable level of criminal underground activity to where it's not as noticeable. But as soon as you make it a problem for the president of the United States, you're dead. Especially this president, you're dead meat. So those are some of the options. Let's see. Risk number 3. Legal, constitutional, and alliance blowback. Unilateral military operations in Latin America raise U.S. domestic constitutional conflict, a war powers debate, which is going on right now, as a lot of senators and congressmen are trying to, quote unquote, rein in President Trump from what he's doing. And next, international legal criticism for violating territorial integrity. Okay. There's been a lot of war powers resolution dynamics pushback after Venezuela. Okay. Even within the Republican ranks. Risk number 4, strategic distraction and reputational damage. Large-scale involvement in Mexico could drain operational bandwidth, create another open-ended theater, distract from Russia-China priorities, and damage U.S. reputation as rule-based power, especially after Venezuela criticism. Okay, my thing is this. I want to say this. If we mess up in Mexico, and let's say we have like the movie Clear and Present Danger, okay? If we have a clear and present danger moment in Mexico where we get a bunch of people killed, vehicles blown up, agents are captured and killed, okay, if that happens, this is going to damage U.S. prestige because a group of drug dealers and drug cartels just put a smackdown on us. Let's say a special forces team of whatever, it doesn't matter if they're SEALs, Green Berets, Marine Raiders, whatever. Let's say they get compromised and they get killed. Think about U.S. prestige here. So there's definitely some risk to putting even special operations boots on the ground. The president took a huge risk doing the Delta Force raid to capture Maduro. Huge risk doing that, okay? Now, again, it's a calculated risk. He knows the capabilities we have. He knows how good we are, all those things. However, Murphy comes into play, Murphy's Law in warfare, right? The fog and friction of battle, there's always the element of chance. You try to squeeze out chance, squeeze out the uncertainty so everything goes right. But in such a complex operation with 150 aircraft, all the ISR, the boots on the ground, all the different strikes, anti-air assets on the Venezuelan side, trying to capture a leader with a personal security attachment, all these things, it all went right. However, if one big thing went wrong, it could have ended in a lot of problems, a lot of issues, okay? And so to think that we want to gamble again, and again, I'm using that term loosely, it's not a gamble. To think that we want to take a strategic, calculated risk again, doing another operation like that, it's a significant decision for the president to make. It has to be worth it. It has to be worth it. So I don't think that's going to become the new MO. It's definitely signaling to other people, though, the political will that the administration has to get things done and to enforce its will from the new Monroe Doctrine in the national security strategy. Okay, likely international reaction. We're going to talk about that some more in a minute, but I want to go ahead and just keep this map up for a minute for those of you that are just joining us, if you haven't seen this, but I think this is a pretty fantastic map with the drug flows. And I think you guys can all see that. I think it's big enough that everybody can see that. Okay. And right now in our poll, should the U.S. strike the Mexican drug cartels on land? 56% say yes. 44% say no. Okay. Appreciate you voting. Take a second and make sure you vote in there. I want to get your ideas. And again, I say the president's already made his decision, but believe it or not, this is a big platform. YouTube's a big platform, and people form opinions based upon what everyone's thinking. So you just never know what kind of impact your voice is going to have. So this is a good place for us to talk about it. And let's go from there. We've seen the effectiveness. I think the drug flow in the United States, me personally, I think we definitely have to take action. We have to do something. And it remains to be seen what the president's going to do. But striking these targets in Mexico, striking the drug cartels, it depends whether they're talking about destruction of facilities, destruction of personnel, groupings of personnel, drug labs. I'd like to know, what are they talking about? Because there's a big range of things to be considered, whether you're talking about striking groupings, like, a group of cartel members, or you're just talking about destroying a production facility, destroying a warehouse, destroying fleets of trucks. What are we talking about here? Okay. Before it was destroying the boats containing drugs on the high seas. So I imagine they're going to try to get to source material, routes, logistics equipment, things like that, laboratories. I imagine they're going to try and strike that. And I think that if they're going to do strikes, that's probably the right way to go about it, because you're going to swat the nest and they're all going to fly away. It's going to be very hard to get groupings of them. Now, decapitation operations to capture the cartel leaders, I think that could happen. Definitely could happen. But it may be problematic, because as criminals, I think that they're probably a little more sensitive to realizing that things like this can happen to them. Maduro thought he was the kingpin. Even after Trump threatened him, he thought he was the kingpin. You can't get in here. You can't get me. He said, don't take too long. Come get me. So he was a little overconfident. Not just a little. He was very overconfident, I think. Okay. So, all right. What's going on, Joe? Good to have you back, man. Crusader, thank you. Appreciate you like the map. All right. Left that up for a minute. Okay. And now we are going to move on. We're going to watch a little bit more of President Trump's interview with Hannity. Hear a little more of what he has to say. But I want to know, if we go after the cartels, do you guys think if we go after the cartels, will that help put an end to the fentanyl crisis in the United States? Put a 1 in the chat if you think going after the cartels, striking them on land, will help put an end to the fentanyl crisis. Give me a 1 in the chat if you think that, okay? And again, if you're watching right now, please vote in our poll. The poll, should the U.S. strike the Mexican drug cartels? We have 52 votes, 50 minutes been posted, 60-40, yes and no right now. Yes has the lead. Crusader says nope. 0. Jefferson says nope. Ted Wheeler says yep. Samantha says no. Hey there, you all. Hey, thanks, Joe. I appreciate that. Damn right. Hit that like button. Hit it, like, subscribe. Give yourselves a round of applause. Best chat on YouTube. Proud of you guys. You're doing great out there. You're on fire tonight, as always. Always a pleasure. Good work. I give you guys a round of applause there. Nice work. Especially my troopers that are hanging in there from last night all the way to now. Benathon last night on the Minneapolis situation, the shooting there. Tragic situation to tonight. All right. Let's watch a little bit more of this interview with President Trump and Hannity.
Years. I did it the first time very quickly, and this time I did it even better because this was a bigger mess. This was a border like no other probably in the history of the world. There's never been a border like that when anybody could just walk into your country.
The border's ostensibly really closed now.
Closed. You can't come in. And nobody comes. Nobody even tries. And the people in Texas, Arizona, all these places that are won by such big numbers, they are so happy with the border. They had homes that they weren't even able to live in their home. Every day people were knocking on their door, every hour. And it's just a great honor to be involved with it. The ICE and Border Patrol and all of the people have been so good. Tom Homan, Kristi Noem. The people have done such an incredible job. You have no idea.
You've made a number of profound announcements and then a new announcement today. Announcement number 1 was 30 to 50 million barrels of oil that they will be handing over to you, and you will sell it on the market at market prices.
Yeah.
That money will be used for the people of Venezuela and the people of America.
Correct.
Then you made an announcement yesterday that they will buy all of their goods from this country. Today, we learn that the holdovers, since Maduro's gone, have agreed to free all of the political prisoners.
Right.
It indicates they want peace with Donald Trump to me. How do you interpret it?
We asked them to do that, and they've been great. They really have been. I mean, everything we've wanted, they've given us. We went in, we took Maduro out. Amazingly, that nobody was killed. We didn't lose a soldier. We had some people wounded, but we didn't lose a soldier. A couple of very brave helicopter pilots were wounded pretty badly, but they're good. They're in good shape. And it was an amazing attack. The other side lost a lot of people, unfortunately. But, this house was in the middle of a fort with thousands of people and soldiers and everything else. And we went right into the middle of a fort. Who would think you could do that and not lose anybody? But they had it planned so beautifully. General Raisin Kane and Pete Hegseth were fantastic. Marco's been doing a great job. Vice President, the whole group it's just a fantastic group.
Let's talk a little bit about, you make these decisions. I don't care if it's this case, Operation Midnight Hammer. In the one case, you're here in the White House in the Situation Room. You're watching this unfold in real time. In this case, you have operationally the same thing, a Situation Room down in Palm Beach at Mar-a-Lago. You make that ultimate call. You are the commander in chief.
Right.
You're watching it unfold in real time. What is that like?
Well, I've done it now quite a bit. We took out Soleimani, which was a big deal. I mean, a very big deal.
All right. So let's talk about this a little bit here. Okay, let's get into this. Now, seizing Venezuela's oil and getting oil production going for the Venezuelan people, for the American people, is this going to affect not global, but market prices, energy prices? Okay, so apparently I think there's going to be some potential near-time upside with doing this. But there's also more medium-term volatility risk, okay? Because when you start doing things like this, it creates more geopolitical risk. It creates more uncertainty in the markets. And so there's a chance that we're going to see, the oil prices going up and down, up and down, up and down, okay? And we think, and even though they're promising that energy prices are going to go down, which in the near term, I think they might, okay? Lower energy prices. And right now they're pushing U.S. oil executives to do massive investment in Venezuela in the oil sector. I think a lot of them were reluctant today. I saw a news conference. Put a 1 in the chat if you saw that news conference today. If you saw the news conference with all the oil executives, just put a 1 in the chat. I want to see if you guys saw that oil executive news conference today. I believe it was yesterday. Okay. But they're pushing a lot of the companies besides Chevron to do massive investment in Venezuela in the oil fields. Okay. So it remains to be seen how this is going to shake out. But what they're saying is this is going to lower energy prices. Okay. If we have lower energy, okay, you didn't see it? Okay. So there was a big White House meeting with all the oil executives. Chevron was there. The number 2 from Chevron was there because the number 1 actually had like a knee surgery or something. But I got to say, if the president of the United States is trying to have you come to a meeting, I mean, he must have been really laid up. But I'm just thinking you probably want to be there. If the president of the United States is saying to be somewhere for a meeting, yeah, Mr. Chevron wasn't there, right? Dan, he wasn't there. He should have been there. But, okay. So this is the thing. This is going to affect everything. When energy prices are lower, the cost of construction goes down, the cost of everything goes down, right? The cost to ship goods goes down. So many things go down that affordability actually, I believe, will be impacted, okay? I'm not pie in the sky like everything's going to be better, but I think it will move the needle slightly on it, okay? Because if energy costs go down, the cost of everything goes down, just overall, all right? So energy is very, very important. Jensen Huang from NVIDIA, Jensen Huang, Huang, however you say his name, is the CEO of NVIDIA. The CEO of NVIDIA credited President Trump actually with making sure that our energy sector is stronger than ever, because he knows, as Jensen Huang said from NVIDIA said, he knows the future for our country is through AI, robotics, and technology. The future growth to maintain a strong economy in the world is through artificial intelligence, robotics, and technology. But in order to do this, we have to have great amounts of energy. And if we don't have great amounts of energy, we can't compete. So this is where this fundamental baseline importance of energy, oil, electricity, even to the point where Jensen Huang had talked about, we talked about this last week on Friday on our live last Friday, but he's talking about every household having a nuclear reactor. Okay? If you've heard this before, this is how important energy is becoming right now, okay? And you guys, give me a 1 in the chat if you have heard of this concept that every household in the future, in the next 10 years, this is what Jensen Huang, the CEO of NVIDIA, is saying, okay? NVIDIA is the chip company, right? He's saying that every household will have a nuclear reactor in the next 10 years, okay? This is the importance of energy. How energy dependent, I don't want to say energy dependent on other people, but how important and how much energy we're going to consume through AI, through robotics, through automation, through all these things, okay? So there is a ton. Thanks, Joe. I appreciate it. There is a ton of energy that we're going to need in the future in order to run all these things, okay? China has already gotten ahead of the curve. China has already gotten ahead of the curve, and what are they doing? China has already invested massively in energy infrastructure to support AI growth, okay? And if you've been with me for a little while, Okay. We talk about artificial intelligence, the risks of it, potential AI wars, AI 2027. That could be potentially the beginning of the end of humanity. All right. In 2027, as ChatGPT, OpenAI makes ChatGPT 6, and then it copies itself, makes ChatGPT 7, and then they call it Open Brain AI 2027. Next thing you know, you have version 5 and 6, which is really going to be, it'll be ChatGPT's not 6, it'll be 8, 9, and 10. They copy themselves. They no longer, they know so much. They know more. One of them knows more than all the intelligence in the world, every computer in the world, right? And they can control everything. They're creating new code for themselves. Okay. They can protect themselves from being shut off. Next thing you know, they merge with China's AI. This is when they decide that humans are no longer a great thing for the world. Okay. So this is the scenario we're talking about. But in order to get to that great scenario, we need more energy. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. And for my joke, I'm going to give you guys a little drum joke. All right. Yes, I'll be here all night. One more time. I'll be here all night. Try the veal. Okay. So there's a lot to consider there. A lot to consider, but we have to invest in energy, and oil energy is energy. All right. And it's very important. Our country still runs mostly on fossil fuel. Who knows what's going to happen in the future? Again, according to NVIDIA's CEO, we're all going to have nuclear reactors in our backyard someday. I don't know if that's going to happen, but there's a lot there. Okay. Let's keep on going on this a little bit. Everyone's tracking right now. Okay. Awesome. All right. We got 1 hour, 64 votes. Should the U.S. strike the Mexican drug cartels on land? 58% yes, 42% no. Okay. Keep getting your votes in, and we're going to put a new poll up here very soon. Okay. Very soon. Let's keep watching this. And by the way, stay tuned, because what we are going to talk about very soon, we're also going to talk about Greenland. Okay. The president doubled down on Greenland today, saying about we're going to go into Greenland, do something with Greenland. We're going to also talk about Trump threatening the Iranians, saying if you begin shooting your people, we're going to begin shooting you. All right. We're also going to talk about the impact of us seizing the Russian oil tanker and U.S. policy vis-a-vis with Russia and Ukraine, and how now, interestingly enough, now NATO is stepping up, and this is causing a big rift. So we're going to cover Russia, Ukraine as well too, and we're going to go deeply into the Iranian riots. Okay, I've got a fantastic map. Another big interactive map. Stick around for that. You don't want to miss it. That shows where the riots are, how they've grown, what's happened over the past 2 or 3 weeks. Okay. So stay tuned for that for sure. Let's watch a little bit more of this though, because this is really scene setting. The president's speech right here, he's laying it all out. The national security strategy, what he's going to do, he's telegraphing right now. And if anything we know about this president is that when he's saying he's going to do something internationally, with the use of force and military, if he's talking about those things, he's going to do it. Okay. So let's pay attention here and we'll talk more.
At least he was very bad to people, killed a lot of people. Everybody you see, just about 95% of the people you see walking around without legs or without arms, that was the roadside bomb. That was his baby. He loved it. We took him out. We took out al-Baghdadi. He's the founder of ISIS. We did Midnight Hammer, which was obliterate the Iran nuclear threat. And it was a total obliteration, as they found out. The B-2 bombers and the best pilots anywhere in the world. They did that at night with no moon, totally dark, and every bomb went right down an air shaft deep into a granite mountain. It was amazing. And we did this, and there's similar in a way. I don't know. This seems to have gotten the imagination, maybe even more than the other ones, but I think they're very equal in many ways. But I don't know, maybe taking out the nuclear threat from Iran, it's very important. But in terms of captivating attention, this seems to be something that is beyond anything that anybody's seen.
Especially the operational details.
Well, the bravery involved, to have people going into an army fort with, thousands of soldiers, land a helicopter right in the middle of it, break down a steel door, because, you know, it was a fortified house. Break down a steel door, run through the hallway shooting, and come out 10 minutes later with a guy who wasn't quite able to get into his safe house. You know, there's a safe.
Yeah, I heard they got to him within 3 minutes, less than 3 minutes.
It was so fast. I mean, nobody's ever seen anything like it. And but the safe house wasn't safe because they had blowtorches that go through steel like it's butter. They didn't have to use them. But we have, these are great people. These are really brave people. Even coming down those ropes, you know, they're coming down ropes off the helicopter and they run them. I was thinking to myself, I wonder if I could do that. I'm gonna have to give it a try sometime. But they do it like it's a stairway, like it's a beautiful stairway. And they're on the ground instantly and they're ready for action. These are brave people. We have the greatest soldiers in the world. We have the greatest equipment in the world. Nobody can match us.
You know, a lot.
You know, I rebuilt the entire.
And so, okay, well, I got to replay this really quickly, all right? And I'm going to talk.
We have the
this.
greatest equipment in the world. Nobody can match us.
You know, a lot.
You know, I rebuilt the entire military during my first term.
Good thing you did.
Biden gave some of it away, a lot of it.
All right, I'm going to stop it there for a second. Okay, here's the thing. Like I talked about in my live stream, first of all, Trump said 3550. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. Much appreciated. Thank you for your generosity. Very, very cool. I appreciate you. Like I said in my live stream about the capture of Maduro, okay? This is 45 years in the making, okay? And I know President Trump is saying, hey, thank you, Unsecure Signal. I appreciate you, man. Thank you. Trump is saying, you know, I rebuilt the military. I mean, he definitely is pro-military. He definitely did a lot. Make no mistake, okay? And I'm not saying he didn't. He did. But to say, to kind of infer that the reason why Delta Force is what it is because of he did what he did in his first term. No, okay? This has been 45 years in the making. 45 years in the making, okay? Make no mistake about it, since Desert One in Iran, when they had the debacle trying to rescue the Iranian hostages and the helicopters collided and all this stuff happened, okay? They formed Delta Force. They formed the Joint Special Operations Command. 45 years in the making, through the long war of the global war on terror, hundreds and hundreds, actually thousands of direct action hits in this intelligence fusion cycle, this F3EAD, okay? Find, fix, finish, exploit, analyze, disseminate, okay? F3EAD, all right? Find, fix, finish, exploit, analyze, disseminate. This is the cycle we used, okay? And anybody who's doing direct action missions, in my unit in Force Recon, we did this as well too. We were hunting high-value targets, and F3EAD is what the Marine Raiders, Navy SEALs, Green Berets use, but it really came about from the National Mission Force, from JSOC, forming this ability to do just what Delta Force did with Nicolas Maduro, okay? So make no mistake, this has been protected and developed by the professionals of the U.S. military establishment, by the senior enlisted operators, by the senior officers, by the mid-grade officers, the mid-grade operators, all right, and all the professionals, dedicated professionals of these organizations for 45 years, culminating in this amazing mission, okay? This just doesn't happen because a politician earmarks money for development and for equipment. It helps, definitely helps. No doubt about it, it helps. It helps advance the cause. That's like saying you become the head coach of a football team that has a past of 4 Super Bowls. And then under your guidance as a coach, you win a Super Bowl. And you say, I'm the coach of a team that's won 5 Super Bowls. And really, I'm the one who caused them to win the 5 Super Bowls. No, you're not, okay? The organization's been around for a long time and done a lot of things, okay? So the president definitely has done a lot, no doubt about it. But this is 45 years in the making. The institutional knowledge, the know-how, the historical knowledge, right? The interoperability, the lessons you learn. You have to go through the struggles in order to develop these things. It doesn't just come overnight, okay? So money helps. Focus and priority by the commander-in-chief helps a lot, a ton. Enabling, empowering helps a ton, okay? But again, the global war on terror helped a shit ton as well because of how many operations were run. And failures back at Desert One unfortunately helped as well. Okay, you learn what not to do and what has to be built because no one had ever done anything like this before. Okay, so I want to bring that up. Let's keep watching for a second. There's some more things I want to discuss here that the president is talking about. Okay, you can see I have a new poll. Please answer the poll here. Chat, I'm going to jump in there with you guys in a second and see if we have any questions. But should the U.S. try to take over Greenland? I have 17 votes. It's been up for 5 minutes. Overwhelmingly no right now. I think I am in the no camp as well. Should we try to buy Greenland? I mean, if Denmark wants to sell it, maybe, right? But the president, we're going to see what he has to say about Greenland in a minute here, okay? So hang with me. Hang with me. You guys, any questions? Go ahead and hit it up. Hey, Steve, what's going on, man? Welcome. Welcome aboard, Steve. Buy or negotiate, perhaps take over. No. Yeah, Steve, that's what I was going to say. Buy or negotiate. If Denmark wants to cut a deal or do a treaty, something like that, that works. But take over, no. I agree with you. Okay. Let's go ahead and keep watching this. Again, this is foundational, guys. That's why I'm playing it so much. There is a lot here, okay? Please remember to like, subscribe, and share. Really helps with the channel. I appreciate you guys being here. If you're having a good time, if you're learning something tonight, again, the purpose of my channel, the Ferocious Optimist Podcast, and the Ben Pappas Show here is to upgrade your life for us all to become better leaders. My mission personally is to be an inspirational leader to create positive, lasting change in the lives of others, okay? And again, as I say in my coaching business, right, I do executive coaching, I do business coaching, I help people to form strategies, I help organizations to develop their leadership development programs. I work with sales teams, all kinds of things like that, okay? I work with a lot of founders and owners of companies as well too, to help them to upgrade their leadership abilities and also to help them to improve to help them grow their companies. And one of the things you have to know, though, is the operating environment. What is the political context? What is the domestic context? What's going on in the market? All these things you have to really have a good handle on. And if you don't, it's going to lead to a lot of problems. That's why we do our Friday lives. We talk about all the issues, the problems, the friction, the chaos, the world on fire. And same thing we're doing tonight, too. Tomorrow at 4 p.m. on Sundays, every Sunday, is our Mindset Reset at 4 p.m. So be here for the Mindset Reset tomorrow. We are not going to be talking about current events because we've talked about them already Friday and Saturday. Instead, we're going to go into how do we have a battle plan to upgrade our mindset, build an unstoppable mindset so we can actually kick ass during the week and advance on our goals and our programs to build the best life we can this year and win more than ever in 2026, okay? So tomorrow is the Mindset Reset. Super cool, awesome. Make sure you're there to check it out, 4 p.m. Eastern time, okay? Here on the Ben Pappas channel, here on my channel, and the Ferocious Optimist Podcast. All right, let's rock and roll. Let's watch a little bit more of this. Again, put any questions you guys have in the chat. Love to hear from you. And vote in the poll, please.
But not first term.
Good thing you
Biden
did.
gave some of it away, a lot of it, but not a lot relative to what I bought. But he gave a big chunk to Afghanistan, which was just insane. That was one of the most embarrassing moments in the history of our country. This was the opposite. This was a total, if you think about Jimmy Carter with the hostages, or you think about the Afghanistan disaster that we had not so long ago with Biden, where it was just mass confusion and the death of 13 great soldiers who I got to know. I got to know the families very well. Great people, but also, and nobody talks about them, 48 people so badly injured and hundreds of people dead. Hundreds of people, when those bombs were off, because I count the other side, but there were hundreds of people killed, all because of an incompetent group of politicians and generals and people that shouldn't be there.
Let's talk a little bit, maybe an underreported story, but we know for a fact that both the Russians and the Chinese provided missile and ballistic missile systems. They did it to both. They helped Iran and they helped Venezuela. But you were able to dismantle that. You talk a lot about American military superiority. And then that goes into the issue that you raised this week of raising the budget for 2027 from $1 trillion to $1.5 trillion.
We need it. When you look at the threat out there, we have the best equipment in the world. We make the best equipment in the world. We make just, there's nothing even close. But we need it because there are some real threats out there.
Yeah. Well, I think we certainly do. Let me ask you about this. And I think this is important. With every military operation comes risk, and you have to obviously weigh that risk. And I think Americans would want to know what goes into your thinking, because there's a whole new military doctrine. I call it the Trump doctrine. I think it's widely misunderstood.
All right, we're going to talk about this. Let's zone in here. Let's tune in really quick and focus in, because we're going to talk about this right now. Hey, thank you, Trump said. I appreciate you, man. Thank you so much. All right, Jeff Willard. All right, we got a lot of people in the house here. Joe Saunders, what's happening, man? Let's do this. Okay, let's pay attention here. This is going to be important, what he says, for the way he thinks. Remember how usually every Friday I do a leadership profile on a leader, okay? Because I feel it's useful for us to study the mindset, strategies, tools, and techniques, leadership philosophy, success philosophy of people that have achieved a lot in life. And it's good for us to take a page out of their book and see how we can apply that to our own lives. Let's listen to his rubric here and how he approaches these problems and these decisions.
No forever wars. However, that doesn't mean you don't use the might and power of the U.S. military. You mentioned Baghdadi, Soleimani. I'll add the mother of all bombs in Afghanistan, right, the ISIS caliphate, and then taking out Iran's nuclear weapon sites. And now our hemisphere. Right. Are you calling it the Monroe Doctrine?
Well, they call it the Monroe. I didn't call it that, but they're calling it's the Monroe Doctrine. Now they call it the Monroe, which is basically safety for this part of the world. And yeah, I mean, it's pretty simple. We don't want drugs pouring into our country. We don't want bad people coming into our country, like happened for 4 years under Biden, who was a disgrace, worst president in the history of our country. Horrible. We had some other bad ones. Let me tell you, Obama was a terrible president. The divisiveness and the hatred that was caused, and many of the people allowed into the country. But what Biden did was a step beyond anything that anybody's ever done. We had millions of people pouring through the border. Now we have nobody coming in unless they come in legally.
Let's talk about, you said for the interim, you will be in charge. Okay. Obviously, the remaining leadership underneath Maduro, they've made, I mentioned earlier, 3 major concessions, 30 to 50 million barrels of oil. They're going to buy and purchase all their goods from America.
Okay. We talked a lot about this. I'm going to move on from this. Just to be clear, I heard what the president said there, and to give my opinion on it. He's talking about the worst presidents, all those things like that. Obviously, these are all, political signaling. But I want to say that the one thing I just caught him saying is that no one's getting through our borders anymore, okay, unless they're getting through illegally. I thought part of it was to stop the illegal immigration. Do I have that wrong? I thought part of the campaign was we're going to stop illegal immigration. That's why we're forming a border wall, which they didn't do. I don't think they did. Not that I know of. I don't think so. But I think it sounds like there was a huge, massive problem of legal immigration. But I thought I remember on the campaign trail him talking a lot about illegal immigration. I don't know. It's confusing. But just wanted to bring that up. A little catch I had right there as he was saying that. You guys tell me what you think in the chat. Which one is which right there? Which one are they stopping? What are they not stopping? Okay. So we talked about tonight, we're talking about Trump versus the world cartel war. Okay. We're talking about the cartel war. We covered that, hit a lot of the maps and things like that. We're talking about Russia, Iran, but we're going to go a little bit right now more into this latest breaking news. Okay. Wait for it. Latest breaking news right here, which is going to be what is going on in Greenland. Okay? We're going to see what this is all about right here. Okay? Here we go. I'm going to do it again so I can get it. I can pop it up by the time the drum roll ends. Can I do it? Almost. One more time. I'm going to master this. One more time. Hold on. One more time. All right. Because you guys deserve the best. You guys deserve the best. I can't find this damn thing. Hold on. Here we go. All right, here we are. I found it. Okay, everyone, hold on. Here we go. I'm going to do it again. Ready? Steady. Drum roll, please. Drum roll, please. Drum roll, please. One more. Here we go. Ready? And Greenland. Boom. And Greenland. I did it. And when I say and Greenland, you stop, producer. I got a producer here now, everybody, which is me. I'm the producer. I'm the producer of this show. Here we go. Ready? Let's check this out. Okay, let's hear what the president has to say about Greenland. Vote in the poll. If you haven't voted in our poll yet, let's vote in the poll. It's been up for 16 minutes. I got 25 votes. I got a lot more people watching. I've got 24% say yes. 76% say no. I want to hear what you guys have to say. Should the U.S. try to take over Greenland? I didn't say how. You could buy it. You could negotiate for it, right? Or they could take it by force, which I don't think anybody agrees with. Maybe. Maybe some of you do. But should the U.S. try to take over Greenland? Give me some more votes. Get more people here watching than that. So hit it up. Let's watch this. Okay, here we go.
Policy question. How much money are you thinking of giving people in Greenland to get them on board with a possible U.S.
I'm not talking about money for Greenland yet. I might talk about that. But right now, we are going to do something on Greenland, whether they like it or not, because if we don't do it, Russia or China will take over Greenland, and we're not going to have Russia or China as a neighbor. Okay? I would like to make a deal, the easy way, but if we don't do it the easy way, we're going to do it the hard way. And by the way, I'm a fan of Denmark too. I have to tell you, and they've been very nice to me. I'm a big fan, but the fact that they had a boat land there 500 years ago doesn't mean that they own the land. Sure, we had lots of boats go there also, but we need that because if you take a look outside of Greenland right now, there are Russian destroyers, there are Chinese destroyers and bigger. There are Russian submarines all over the place. We're not going to have Russia or China occupy Greenland, and that's what they're going to do if we don't. So we're going to be doing something with Greenland, either the nice way or the more difficult way. Please, go ahead, ma'am.
On Greenland, Mr. President, why is it so important to you to own it when you have a military presence there, which you could expand to affect security?
Because when we own it, we defend it. You don't defend leases the same way. You have to own it. And with a nation, look at what happened with Obama with that horrible deal they made with Iran. It was a short-term deal. It was like a 9-year deal. Countries can't make 9-year deals or even 100-year deals. Countries have to have ownership. And you defend ownership, you don't defend leases. And we'll have to defend Greenland. If we don't do it, China or Russia will. It's not going to happen. We are not going to have, and I like China, I like Russia, I love the people of China, I love the people of Russia. I get along very well with President Putin, but I'm very disappointed in him. I get along very well with President Xi. I'm going to go over to China in April, but I don't want them as a neighbor in Greenland. Not going to happen. And by the way, and NATO's got to understand that. I'm all for NATO. I saved NATO. If it weren't for me, you wouldn't have a NATO right now. But we're not going to allow Russia or China to occupy Greenland, and that's what's going to happen if we don't. Go ahead.
On the economic report that came out today, Mr. President, one, can you respond to that? And two.
Okay, so what do we think? What do we think of chat? Put a 1 in the chat if you agree with the president what he's saying, that Russia and China will take over Greenland if we don't do something and we don't take over Greenland. So if we don't take over Greenland, Russia and China will take over Greenland is what he's saying. Put a 1 in the chat if you agree. Okay? I want to see what you guys think. He has an intelligence picture that we don't have, right? So personally, that's news to me. But again, I'm not sitting here with a naval intelligence picture of what's going on around Greenland, but he's saying that Russian destroyers, Chinese destroyers, Russian subs are all around there. And he's saying that if we don't take over Greenland, they're going to. Do you guys think that's true? Do you think that what President Trump is saying, that if we don't take it over, they're going to take it over, is true? Put a 1 in the chat if you think it's true. Okay? And a 0 if you don't think it's true. Eventually, okay, I have a 1 from Trump said, Joe Saunders 0, Dan Campbell 1. Mark, seems to me there are always U.S. subs in the UK gap. Great point, Mark. Brian Putney 1, Lisa 0, Joe Saunders. Yeah, I mean, it's interesting, but we got a lot of people, a good amount of people watching right now. So please, either vote inside the poll or give me a 1 or a 0 if you think you agree with President Trump that we're actually that Russia and China will take over Greenland. If we don't, give me a 1. If you agree with President Trump, what he's saying. If you think it's an exaggeration, you don't think Russia and China are going to take over Greenland. If we don't, then give me a 0. Okay. Mark says 1 and 0. Jose Perez 1. Okay. Dan Campbell, has no one heard about China's subs exploring the Arctic? Yeah, that is a thing. You're right, Dan. It is. Dan Campbell, it is totally a thing. Steve says 0. Okay. Nora Morgan, we have lowered our presence there. We could have raised without doing this. Yeah. Nora, you bring a good point up. I think that's a great point that we probably could. You're right. Is there more at play? With this? What do you guys think? Give me a fire symbol. I'm forcing you guys to expand your capabilities. I'm going to do a fire symbol with you guys. I'm going to try and find it. Give me a fire symbol in the chat. Okay. If you guys think there's more to this than just preventing Russia and China from getting Greenland. If you think there's more to it, give me a fire symbol. Okay. Give me some type of fire symbol. If you think there's more to this than just Russia and China taking over Greenland, is there more to it? I don't know. I think possibly there is. And I don't want to give the goose away. I don't want to give away the goods and the secrets until I hear from you guys. Okay? There we go. Sport with NG, fire. Joe Saunders, fire. Lady Ann, fire. Mark retired, fire. Dan Campbell, fire. We got fire everywhere. Fire. That's what I'm talking about. You guys are awesome. Best chat on the planet. Best chat in YouTube. You guys get a big round of applause for yourselves. Aston 9. Nice. Well, I think I have this on a loop. It's a big round of applause. But you guys deserve it. You guys deserve it all the way. I'm still trying to find my fire symbol. Now I know what one of you were talking about. I think Cody Fisher, you were saying it. You can't find the fire symbol, but Ben Pappas just found it, everybody. I just found the damn fire symbol, and I'm giving myself lots of hearts right now for it. See? And I'm going to give myself a damn round of applause. Hold on really quick. I'm giving myself a round of applause. Very happy about that. Very proud. Great job, everybody. You guys are the best. All right. So we got a lot of fire symbols. We got a lot of stuff there. We got a lot of stuff happening, okay? Let's keep this rolling. Here we go. Let's find out, is there something more? Well, here we are. Maybe there is. Security fears and dreams of minerals behind Trump's push to own Greenland, experts say. And honestly, guys, I do this research because not like I'm over here playing I have a secret. Whoa, I already know this. I don't, okay? I have a good idea about national security, but I don't know everything. Far from knowing everything. And so I do the research because I want to know. And I'm sharing it with you guys because I think you want to know too. We want to know about the issues, what's going on. Again, we have to know the operational environment, the operating environment, in order to be able to deal with the noise, deal with the anxiety, deal with the fears, cut through the fear, cut through the uncertainty, to go ahead and thrive in the chaos and to win and to go forward and to achieve our goals. Hopefully you have your goals written down. If you don't have your goals written down yet and you don't know what your strategy is yet, you got to come tomorrow at my Sunday Mindset Reset at 4 p.m. Eastern Time. It's absolutely awesome, okay? And also, we're going to talk about my Ferocious Optimist coaching membership and community as well, too. It is fantastic. We'll talk about that in a little bit. But security fears and dreams of minerals behind Trump's push to own Greenland, experts say. Trump allies have cited the island's continued role in missile defense infrastructure, accusing Denmark of leaving it vulnerable to potential Russian and Chinese influence. Okay, got a little video here. I was going to watch that video.
White House revealing the president. This morning, President Trump accelerating his push to take over Greenland. The White House revealing the president and his team are discussing a range of options for acquiring the Arctic territory from Denmark, adding that utilizing the U.S. military is always an option. President Trump recently insisted.
All right, now that's, using the U.S. military is always an option. I know they're saying it's just as rhetoric, but I think in light of Greenland, or for Greenland, saying that, I think is just not good. That's not good. To me, it's like, why are we saying this against Denmark? And Canada's the neighbor. It's just, to me, saying using the military is always an option. I don't know. I mean, to show that he's serious, to get his way, yeah, all those things. I understand that. But I just think at some point, you've got to have your allies as your allies, your partners as your partners, your friends as your friends, and make sure your enemies know that you're surrounded by people that support you and things like that. I don't think it's the right thing to say, me personally. Here we go.
The U.S. needs Greenland for security reasons, and that Denmark is not able to protect it, which Denmark disputes.
Right now, Greenland is covered with Russian and Chinese ships all over the place.
While those nations have a presence in the Arctic, Greenland is in fact not surrounded by their ships. According to the New York Times, citing U.S. officials, Secretary of State Marco Rubio told lawmakers President Trump plans to buy Greenland rather than invade it. The Times reports the president asked aides to give him an updated plan for acquiring the territory. The U.S. military has a base on the island. Vice President Vance visited it last year. On Tuesday, Denmark and 6 other NATO allies delivering a strongly worded response to the president's comments, writing Greenland belongs to its people. But top White House aide Stephen Miller asserts,
obviously, Greenland should be part of the United States.
Democrats sharply critical, but saying,
I mean, seriously, he just said that. Obviously, Greenland should be part of the United States. Really? Is it obvious? Is it obvious? Let's see what our chat says in our poll. 29 votes. Should the U.S. try to take over Greenland? 72% no. 28% yes. Hey, so tell me, give me a 0 in the chat, or give me a 1 in the chat if you think Greenland should be a part of the United States. Give me a 0 if you don't think it should. Give me a 1 in the chat if you think Greenland should be a part of the United States. Give me a 0 in the chat if you don't think it should be a part of the United States. And the way he said it, okay, whether you think it should or not, to me, it's the way he said this. He's like, obviously, I don't know. It hasn't been obvious for a long time. It hasn't been obvious for over 100 years. So let's see. More than that, 150 years, something like that. Let's keep going. Obviously, I'm not a Greenland historian here, but let's keep going.
After the Venezuela operation, the president's words have to be taken seriously.
I certainly was amongst those who, 12 months ago or 6 months ago, dismissed his talk of taking over Greenland as an intentional distraction. I think now you have to really think about what's in the president's brain.
And multiple Republicans say they're opposed to taking control of Greenland by force, including House Speaker Mike Johnson.
Look, no, I don't think that's appropriate.
And it comes as the president is trying to unite Mike Johnson.
Look, no, I don't think that's appropriate.
Okay, so there's the Speaker of the House, Mike Johnson, prominent Republican lawmaker, right? Politician saying, no, I don't think that's appropriate to take over Greenland. Okay, well, it's good to see. Not everybody's just parroting what the president says. It's good to see, obviously, you want solidarity in parties and things like that. But I mean, at some point, if someone's saying some pretty controversial stuff, it's good to see people speaking what they believe. Okay, let's keep going here.
And it comes as the president is trying to unite his party, rallying House Republicans yesterday and hitting home the consequences of the upcoming midterm elections as he sees it.
You got to win the midterms, because if we don't win the midterms, it's just going to be, they'll find a reason to impeach me. I'll get impeached.
Back to that clash over Greenland for a moment. Greenland and the Danish government announced that they have...
Seriously, I didn't even think about that. Is that what's behind everything? Hold on a second. Is that what is behind everything? Okay. Is that what's behind everything? The fear of impeachment. Is that what's behind so much going on? Like the ICE raids, trying to flip over Congress seats, Senate seats in Minnesota, for example, in other places, strategic theater and distraction. Obviously trying to get wins in the economy. That's a good thing. There's nothing wrong with that. Obviously trying to cap the interest rates on credit cards, reduce the mortgage interest rates, trying to show real concrete wins at home for people. But I mean, the urgency on some of these things, is that what's going on where there's a real fear they're going to try to impeach him? I'll be honest with you, I didn't really think about that angle. But now we watch this. It's, right, Joe. That's what I'm saying, Joe Saunders. Right. No, Samantha, I didn't. I hadn't thought about that, about the impeachment part. I had not. No. So I'm telling you guys what I think, right? I'm not trying to act like of course I thought about it, Samantha. Huh. How could you think I didn't think about it? I know everything. Don't you know? I'm the one on YouTube. Of course I know. I don't know. Okay. I know some things, but I'm going to tell you guys when I don't know it. And if I'm honestly reacting to it. Yeah, so that's different too, right, Samantha? Mike Johnson says he usually doesn't know something. Interesting. Something's happening. Damn it. Something's happening. I need like a Scooby-Doo. I have a transition. Let's hear this transition music. Something's happening. Live at 5. We're going to try it again. Something's happening. Live at 5. Something is happening, though. Okay? Not to make light of it, but something is actually happening. There's something behind the scenes. The plot thickens. Political theater, strategic theater, distractions, all these things, right? There's stuff, obviously, there are real concrete objectives. I'm not to be a conspiracy theorist. I'm not a conspiracy theorist, but I'm thinking, my imagination makes me think with that comment. Let's watch that one more time. Okay. For anyone who missed it, let's watch this little video one more time. God knows I love my videos. You guys know. Okay. But let's watch this little part again, because I think this is important. This was an important revelation. To me, it was a revelation. It was revelatory to me. It was a revelation. You rarely ever see a moment, to me, I don't know about you guys, but I rarely have ever seen moments where the president acts really concerned or scared, or he's pleading with his party. All he does is command and say, this is how it's going to be. This is what we're going to do. We're going to do it this way, right? That's all we get. We get a lot of commanding. But watch this again. This was surprising to me. Okay, very surprising. Here we go.
They'll find a reason.
Midterm elections as Republicans yesterday, and hitting home the president is trying.
Oh, so this was yesterday. Okay.
To unite his party, rallying House Republicans yesterday and hitting home the consequences of the upcoming midterm elections as he sees it.
You got to win the midterms, because if we don't win the midterms, it's just going to be, they'll find a reason to impeach me. I'll get impeached.
Back to that clash over Greenland for a moment. Greenland and the Danish government announced that they have asked for a meeting with Secretary of State Marco Rubio following the president's latest comments. The Danish prime minister warning a U.S. military attack on Greenland, Chanel, would effectively end the NATO alliance.
Meanwhile, Peter, the president is also in the spotlight over this controversial new website marking the 5th anniversary of January 6th. What more can you tell us?
Yeah, that's right. So 5 years after hundreds of the president's supporters stormed the Capitol over his false election claims, the White House posted a website that really rewrites the history of that day. It calls the rioters peaceful protesters, blames Capitol police officers for deliberately escalating tensions, although video...
Wow. This is a whole nother topic. A whole nother topic to get into. Wow. Okay. So I don't want to go into that right now, because we're going to go down a big rabbit hole and not going to stop. That's a whole nother topic, a whole nother live stream. But interestingly enough, midterm elections are November 2026, November 3rd, 2026. Okay. So President Trump, and you guys tell me, put a 1 in the chat if you thought the president seemed very concerned, if not afraid, when he said, we got to win the midterms. If we don't, they're going to find a way to impeach me. Put a 1 in the chat if you thought the president seemed afraid, concerned, if not afraid, okay, with what he was saying. I want to see what you guys think, all right? I want to see what you guys think. He seemed very concerned to me, if not a little bit afraid. I don't think I've ever really seen that from him. And he's been through a ton. But, you know, is that what the exigency is? Is that what the urgency on so many things is? And I know we have some political hacks in here, and you guys think about these things all the time, but yeah, I'm not you know, that's a new one to me. Okay, one, yeah. Nora says no. Okay, his voice was a little shaky. Yeah, I thought so too. Trump. Yeah, exactly. I agree with you. Trump said it could be he's very concerned, or he's like a coach saying, look, if we don't win the second half, we're done. We're going to lose. He's letting them know. You're right. Maybe he's not afraid. Maybe he does care, but maybe it's just very concerned. But, you know, he seemed a little bit, to me, I think he seemed a little fearful. To me, he seemed a little fearful. Or like you said, he's stressing. He's stressing the situation. But why would you stress the situation if it didn't cause you stress, which means there's a small amount of fear, right? So he's a fighter. He's definitely a fighter, and he's going to do everything he can. He's not afraid of anything. You might be right. You might very well be right. Well, we shall see. 911. LOL. I see you. Trump said, I see you. Mark 1, Frank Hamilton 0. I think it's a threat. Okay. Interesting. Nora Morgan off the top rope like Macho Man Randy Savage. Or I don't know who else I could say. Hulk Hogan. I think it's a threat. He's threatening them. Like, I'll tank your political career if we don't win the midterms. Interesting take. Smartest chat on YouTube, like I said. Joe Saunders. Thank you, brother. I appreciate you, man. I appreciate the support. Really appreciate it. Joe Saunders is going to get a big round of applause right now. Joe Saunders is getting some cheering right now. Thank you, Joe Saunders. Appreciate you. Let's read what Joe Saunders has to say here. Trump said, I owe you also an applause. Okay. Honest question. If we actually attack Greenland, which is a territory of Denmark, are we not attacking a NATO member? Yes. If we do that, NATO is done. Okay? Putin's like, yes, do it, Trump. Do it. Do it, Trump. Do it. Attack NATO. And we're coming into Russia next, guys, so stick around. We're going into Russia next. Big stuff's happening with Russia. All the king's horses and all the king's men in Europe are getting together saying, we're going to go into Ukraine and we're going to teach Russia a lesson. And Putin's like, oh, yeah, really? Watch this shit. You're going to see. I'm going to play it, okay? And you're going to be like, whoa, man. So stick around. Yes, you are correct, Joe. 100%. Thank you so much. All right. Thank you. I appreciate it. I didn't even spell thank you right, but I meant it. I meant thank you, not thank you 1-1. And also, I'm going to play a round of applause really quick for Trump said as well for your contribution. Thank you so much. I appreciate you, brother. Thank you. All right. And you guys got to stick around for this Russia segment. You got to stick around. The big Wamboos is coming with Iran as well, too. You got to see my interactive map. The interactive map is amazing. You're going to freaking love it. I love it. You're going to love it. Okay? So a lot of Greenland stuff. We didn't even get into the text, but we're going to watch the text. Okay? We saw all this stuff, but let's get into the text a little bit here of the Greenland. Smartest chat on the internet, on YouTube. Let me see. I'm trying to get this. Here it is. Okay, I found it. Okay, here we go. All right. Security fears and dreams of minerals behind Trump's push to own Greenland, experts say. Trump allies have cited the island's continued role in missile defense infrastructure, accusing Denmark of leaving it vulnerable to potential Russian and Chinese influence. Now, we watched the video. Okay, that was just the precursor. That was just the video. Now we're going to get into the deep details here. To hear President Donald Trump tell it, a push to take control of Greenland is a national security necessity, critical to reinforcing control of the Arctic against possible threats from Russia and China. For America's allies and Greenlanders themselves, however, Trump's threats to seize the semi-autonomous, hold on one second, the semi-autonomous Danish territory cut much deeper and threatened to shatter the decades-old principle of Western defense cooperation. As you said, Joe Saunders, would that end NATO? Yes, it would. But there may be little they can do to stop it. This is a threat that is completely appalling, to be honest. Aja Chemnitz, one of two Greenlandic lawmakers in the Danish parliament, said in an interview on Thursday. You can't just buy another country, a people, the soul of Greenland, she added. Everybody in Greenland is discussing it. Many people are worried and concerned. The alarm is shared across European capitals. French President Emmanuel Macron accused the United States on Thursday of breaking free from the international rules that it used to promote. Now, let me be clear. Emmanuel Macron was one of the first officials in any country to congratulate President Trump for his Maduro raid, for the capture of Maduro, and said, like, basically high-fived and said, that's how you do shit. That's how you do it, okay? More or less. And, obviously he probably didn't say it that way, but maybe. He said, that's how you do it right there, okay? He high-fived him. His people went nuts. The parliament went nuts, whatever it was. In France, they went nuts. And then he reversed course and said, wait, that's not how you do it. I'm afraid now. And that's not how you do it, actually. And shame on you, Trump. You're breaking international rules. And so now he's doubling down on his international rule breaking, okay? So just so you know. Okay, German President Frank-Walter Steinmeier warned the world risks descending into a den of robbers where the most unscrupulous take whatever they want. Now, let me comment on Germany. Let's comment on what Germany's up to. Did you know that Germany is bringing back compulsory service? Okay, something to that effect of compulsory service for its citizens. Did you know how terrifying it is that Germany said, they announced this week they are building the largest military in the continent of Europe. Okay, why? For the Russian threat. Does that sound familiar? Put a 1 in the chat if this sounds familiar. Does that sound familiar? Germany's building the largest land army in continental Europe. Okay, which also means probably the UK as well. Does that sound familiar? Put a 1 in the chat if that's familiar. Where does that sound like? The Russian Slavic threat to the east. We must be strong. In fact, we must own all of Europe because of the crazy Russian Slavic threat to the east. Sounds very familiar. Sounds really familiar. Yeah, okay. And guess what? We have a lot to do with that because we said, NATO, you got to take care of yourselves. We're sick of taking care of you. And matter of fact, why don't you guys do what you got to do? And the Germans were like, I'm going to tell you, I don't mean to make light of it, but I got to make light of it. The Germans were like, they had their Dr. Evil moment. Really? We can rebuild the military? Oh, okay. Yeah. Has anybody seen that? Anybody seen that meme or that post of Homelander? I'm going to play it, okay? I'm going to play this for you guys. Have you guys seen this yet? Wow. Oh, look at this one. Wow. Okay, here's something. Even before I play that for you, just so you guys know, I'm not joking around. I'm riffing a little bit right now, but we're commenting on each country that's commenting on us. This is full of robber barons and, anybody's might is right. Meanwhile, the Fourth Reich is rising. Germany's rearmament is stunning. The country is determined to strengthen its armed forces in the wake of Moscow's aggression and Washington's volatility, but doing so doesn't come easily to a nation chastened by its past. Yeah, come on. It will come easy. Who are we kidding? It is in their national culture, okay? It's in their national culture. It'll take a little while to get them going, but they're going to jump right back into it, okay? Come on now. Come on. With such a martial culture as this country's had, all right? 80 years after the end of World War II, as Russia escalates attacks against Europe and the U.S. threatens to turn away from the transatlantic alliance, Germany's undergoing a historic shift Okay, watershed moment. Mandated a one-off infusion of $100 billion in defense spending, doubling Germany's previous annual allocation. Okay, and so on and so forth, so on and so forth. I'm not going to go into everything right now. Okay, but there's a lot there. So as everybody's saying things, we also have to keep our ears to the tracks. Keep our ears to the tracks a little bit. Okay? And this is, I had a little something I was going to show you guys here, but I'll come back to it. I'll come back, see if I can find it. Okay. So let's keep reading this. Let's keep taking a look at this. This is important stuff. Get a good idea of why we're even considering Greenland. Like, what are we doing? What are we doing? What are we talking about? Okay. And the international reaction, that's all fine. But I think it's important that we understand what the hell's going on. Okay. Okay. So everybody's, Germany says no. France says no. This is crazy. I mean, a lot of us are saying it's crazy. What does our poll say? Our poll says it's crazy, right? Well, 32% say yes. 68% say no to take over Greenland. Now, we're just talking about taking over, buying it, negotiating for it. But I think most of us agree that, using military force is a little bit nuts, right? Okay. Bro, you look like Homelander. Germans hate it. Yeah. Yes, it was. It was, Mark. Big bad USA. Yeah, most Germans are saying, you want us to do what now? Yes, they are. Yes, they are. Frank Hamilton, if we can't buy Greenland, maybe NATO allies should build up an MFO-type force. Okay. All right. Let's keep on rolling. Here we go. Though it looms artificially large on a Mercator projection map, where it is stretched to the scale of Africa despite being 14 times smaller in size, Greenland has rarely figured so prominently in mainstream Western consciousness. The vast island, around the size of Alaska and California combined, is inhabited by 57,000 people. 90% of them are indigenous Inuit people that arrived more than 1,000 years ago. Denmark colonized Greenland 300 years ago and granted it the status of an autonomous territory in the 1970s. Let's see. Okay. The United States briefly took control of Greenland during World War II to stop it from being used by the Nazis. An agreement has used since 1951 that allows the U.S. to construct, install, maintain, and operate military bases across the island. Its sole use was as a military base was early detection for Soviet nuclear missiles during the Cold War. It's locked in ice 9 months out of the year. Let's just see here. Okay, talk about. We're not going to allow Russia and China to occupy Greenland. I'm just looking at where are the minerals? Where is, aside from being a good outpost, Greenland also forms one side of the GI-UK cap, Greenland, Iceland, UK, Greenland, Iceland, United Kingdom. Mark, you brought that up, how we have a lot of ships going through there too. Yes, we do. All right, I'm just trying to see about, and obviously the Polar Silk Road, the Arctic, there's conflict for the Arctic, competition for the Arctic, I should say, not conflict, competition. I'm looking specifically for materials, minerals, rare earth metals, things like that. Okay, here it is. Okay, the retreating ice flows may also yield new opportunities to exploit its vast mineral reserves, a subject that has proven to be at the forefront of Trump's mind in negotiations over Ukraine and Venezuela. Okay? In 2023, the European Commission carried out a survey that found that 25 of the 34 elements it classified as critical raw materials were found on Greenland. These substances are crucial in producing everything from electric vehicle batteries to cutting-edge military hardware, vital currency in the global tech battle with China and others. There it is. Trump himself has denied minerals are a factor of positioning Greenland as a national security issue, although some around him are eager to take advantage. 25 of the 34 elements classified as critical raw materials. I think probably there's something there. This is about critical materials. This is about critical minerals. This is about natural resources. Then Congressman Mike Wallace, who would later become Trump's national security advisor, said last January. Okay? So there you have it. That's what we know right now with Greenland. Okay? A lot to be considered. Definitely a lot to be considered there. A lot to take in. All right, our poll, We launched it 50 minutes ago, 41 votes. Should the U.S. try to take over Greenland? 68% say no, 32% say yes. All right, I'm going to end that poll. That is a good poll. Now, our next topic, okay, we're going to take a look at Russia and Ukraine. We're going to hit Russia, Ukraine, and then we're going to go into Iran. We're going to talk about Iran and the Iranian military and the Iranian regime falling. As we speak right now, it is going nuts in Iran. They are rioting all over the country, okay? But before we do that, we're going to go and hit Russia. We're going to discuss Russia, what's happening, because there's some serious important things, okay? And before we do that, we are going to talk about the ISIS strike. If you guys didn't know, put a 1 in the chat. Give me a 1 in the chat if you knew that we just hit ISIS in Syria. We just did a strike today on ISIS in Syria. Put a 1 in the chat if you're tracking on that, okay? I want to see if you're following along, if you guys saw this, okay? But we're going to talk about this next. Part of this doctrine, and what we're trying to talk about is the U.S. following this national security strategy of Trump's? Are we successfully following this strategy? Is there a strategy, or are we just running around going crazy? Okay? This is the first question I have from you guys. The first question I have, is I want to see what you guys think. Okay, you're tracking along the ISIS strikes. Now, I want to ask you, okay, along with the ISIS strikes, the poll I want to put up now, based on all the stuff we're seeing, a lot of people are thinking, and they're saying this. They're saying that the U.S. is trying to gain position as the sole superpower in the world again. Okay? They're trying to gain position. We are trying to gain position as the sole superpower in the world, and we're using a lot of coercion to do that. Now, I'm going to tell you, I don't think that's true. I don't think that's what we're trying to do. I think it very clearly states, okay, very clearly states that in the national security strategy of 2025 that I covered 2 weeks ago on the day after Christmas, okay, December 26th, talked about the national security strategy, went through it in detail. And I think the thing is this, okay, that we are following the doctrine of keeping the Monroe Doctrine alive, the Trump Doctrine now, really the Monroe Doctrine with the Trump corollary, to dominating the Western Hemisphere. But we're also demonstrating that, you FAFO, right? You mess around, you find out, okay? Screw around, you're going to find out fast. So if you mess with us, if you do a terror strike, if you hurt our personnel, we are going to have instant payback, okay? Instant coming after you. So coercion is a major part of our policy right now, interventionist coercion, but with a heavy focus in the Western Hemisphere, okay? Removed from the language of the national security strategy was anything really about China. I mean, it was still there. I shouldn't say it. It was still there pretty heavily, but China as being the number one concern is no longer the primary concern in the national security strategy. Okay, that's not what's covered right now. Okay, so I don't think through this we're trying to be the global superpower. I don't think that's true. I think we are trying to make sure everybody knows we are number one in the Western Hemisphere. No one's allowed to come here. You can go have your territory, do your thing, but you're not coming in the Western Hemisphere. Okay, that's my thoughts on that. All right. Put a 1 in the chat if you agree with that. If you agree with what I said, that we are trying to focus as the United States on the domination of the Western Hemisphere, put a 1 in the chat. Put a 0 in the chat if you think the U.S. is trying to, put a 0 in the chat if you think that the U.S. is trying to become a global superpower, the sole superpower in the world. Put a 0 for the U.S. is trying to become the sole superpower in the world. Put a 1 in the chat if you think the U.S. is following its national security strategy, the Monroe Doctrine, and trying to dominate the Western Hemisphere. Okay, I want to see. All right, let's hear. Unsecure Signal, what do you think about Peter Thiel and Sam Altman building their underground bunkers? I think they know something we don't. That's what we talked about last Friday, right? We talked about Sam Altman. Is he telling us everything he knows about AI, about the dangers? About ChatGPT 6 and ChatGPT 7. And what does that mean? There are a lot of concerns, right? There were reports last week. Watch my live from last Friday. And in the beginning, the first hour, we cover Sam Altman and ChatGPT and OpenAI and AI 2027, the end of humanity, possibly within 10 years. So by like 2035, humanity is, well, I should say 2035, we were totally dominated by AI. By like 2045, we're wiped out. Okay, that's the doomsday scenario. And I think that he recently came out, Sam Altman said that AI is adapting in ways that show it could be a threat. It could be pretty damn scary. So that's what I think. So that's what I think Peter Thiel and Sam Altman are doing. I think they know something we don't know, but I think they're also concerned with the volatility that, is going on in the world, especially from our own administration. Okay. All right, cool. American Citizen X, you agree? Awesome. B. Putney agrees. Frank agrees. Mark, thank you. Spot on. Samantha agrees with that. Okay. Joe Saunders, Teddy Roosevelt, walk softly, carry a big stick. Only Trump doesn't exactly talk softly. No, he doesn't. Steve gives us a 1 as well. Joe Saunders, a 1. Okay. Joe Saunders gives us several 1s. Dan Campbell, 1. Soul? Yeesh, I hope not. I know, right? These guys should go for therapy. Lisa. Okay, yep. All right, let's take a look a little bit more here. Talk about the ISIS strike briefly. Quick look at that. What happened? I actually have a pretty cool video to play on this. I have a pretty cool video to play on this. Let's just go over quickly what happened there. Okay, here we are. The ISIS strikes happen. Let me just close this out for one more second to come back to it. 1 second, guys. Here we go. All right, here we go. U.S. carries out strikes in Syria as part of ongoing retaliation against ISIS. The U.S. carried out large-scale strikes against ISIS targets in Syria on Saturday, tied to an ongoing retaliatory campaign dubbed Operation Hawkeye Strike. Today, in approximately 12:30 p.m. Eastern Time, U.S. Central Command forces alongside partner forces conducted large-scale strikes against multiple ISIS targets across Syria. The U.S. Central Command said in a release posted on X. Operation Hawkeye Strike, named for the 2 U.S. soldiers killed from the Hawkeye state of Iowa, began on December 19th, 2025, as their direct response to the fatal attack carried out by ISIS gunmen in Palmyra, Syria, that killed 2 U.S. soldiers. Okay, so here's the message from U.S. Central Command. Our message remains strong. If you harm our war fighters, we will find you and kill you anywhere in the world, no matter how hard you try to evade justice. U.S. Central Command told, put that out in a release, okay? And I've got a pretty cool video here I want to show you guys that gives details of this. Hey, remember to like, subscribe, and share, guys. If you're here and you haven't liked this video yet, please like the live stream for me. It helps out the channel. And go ahead and subscribe so you can get notifications about whenever I do these live streams. I try to schedule them the best I can, but you'll get notification. Turn the notifications on. Just please subscribe. It helps out the channel. And I promise I'm not going to steal your soul if you subscribe. Funny story with that. My mom actually wasn't subscribed to my channel. I said, Mom, you should subscribe. And she said, she might be watching right now. Mama Pappas, though, was saying, she's like, I don't know. They're going to steal my information. My mom's 86. I was like, Mom, they're not going to steal your information. You're just subscribing to a YouTube channel. She's like, oh, okay. So that's the background to that. But I promise nothing's going to happen. You're just going to get more good news, more good content, more good info. And please share. If you think someone's going to get something out of this live stream tonight, please go ahead and share with them. Again, that would be fantastic to grow our mission. My mission personally is to be an inspirational leader to create positive, lasting change in the lives of others. I do that through this channel, okay? The purpose of this podcast and this channel is to create inspirational content, educational content, and also entertainment in order to uplift people and upgrade people's lives, okay, including my own. So that's what we're doing here. And let's look at this video really fast. So please go ahead and subscribe and share if you think someone's going to get something out of it. Let's take a look at the strikes here from U.S. Central Command. I actually have a video from U.S. Central Command. Here we go. Let's check this out. Wow, smoking holes are left. Okay. So again, that was the video from U.S. Central Command for the strikes in ISIS. Again, part of the broader strategy. Again, you know, looking at this, the significance of all of this and how U.S. national security, you know, why are we doing these things? So striking ISIS is a classic counter-terror rationale. Protect U.S. forces, retaliate after U.S. casualties, degrade the ISIS networks. But, you know, it's really about everything we're doing so far, in my opinion, is really aligning with the primacy style posture, enforcing the regional order that we're trying to have according to our new national security strategy, hegemony in the Western Hemisphere, to be the hegemonic power, the most powerful force in the Western Hemisphere, to deter rivals from working there. You see what President Trump said. Russia and China will not get a foothold in Greenland. They will not get a foothold in Venezuela. Okay. And we're using military and economic leverage proactively to do that. The source for that is from the White House itself. But this is not an effort to become a sole superpower, because what this implies is a declared goal of global domination. Okay. The national security strategy, you know, frames the way it frames it, it's, you know, selective dominance in certain areas like the Western Hemisphere, and it's hemispheric control and punitive deterrence, right? So striking ISIS, striking cartels, people that are doing harm to the United States. It's not permanent occupation everywhere, and they're sticking to that. That's right from the national security strategy. This looks a lot less like empire everywhere and more like make the Western Hemisphere unambiguously the U.S., ours, okay? Keep choke points open, crush terrorist threats fast, crush narco-terrorist threats fast, and scare adversaries and strategic competitors into backing off away from our interests, okay? But obviously this does have big second-order effects, big second-order risks, I should say, to alliances, to markets, and to escalation control. So there's a lot there. Some of the potential benefits of everything we've seen so far. Lower energy prices. We talked about this. Stronger deterrence, okay? Definitely is occurring. Disruption of illicit flows. Definitely occurring. Visible strength. We're showing credibility and strength. The narrative that we are strong and we're going to fulfill what we say we're going to do, okay? All these things are some of the advantages. But there's a trade-off, right? There's still a trade-off. There's a trade-off for all this, like I said. You do put some alliances at risk. You take on opening up, releasing the dogs of war where anything can happen. The fog and friction of battle. Chance has a say where you can't always know the outcome for how things are going to work out. Okay. So all those things are true. And, you know, I think just like when you're building anything, you got to have a great team around you, and you have to surround yourself with the right people, and you have to have the right strategy. And so what I want to say is, for you right now personally, if you don't have the right strategy for yourself, okay, for achieving your goals in 2026, heck, if you don't even know what your goals are officially, have you written down your strategy for 2026? Okay, like we have the national security strategy. Did you write down your goals yet? Your 3-month goals for this quarter? Did you write down your year goals, your 1-year goals? Not a resolution, but no kidding, your specific, measurable, actionable, reachable, and with a due date attached to them, your goals for 2026. Okay, have you started working on them yet? Do you have momentum yet? Okay, do you have an accountability circle yet? If you don't have an accountability circle, you haven't written your goals down, you don't feel like you have a good strategy, if you feel overwhelmed, if you're feeling stuck, okay, well, I'm definitely here to help you. And this is, you know, I'm going to show you right now, like I always say, a word from our sponsors. I'm going to show you my Ferocious Optimist coaching membership and community, okay? This is where we turn ideas and we turn goals and we turn dreams into actually actionable tasks we can knock out and get done. And we learn how to upgrade our life through also improving our personal performance, improving our mindset, building an unstoppable mindset, surrounding yourself with a group of ferocious optimists around you, okay? Of a supportive, ambitious, highly positive group of people in the community, okay? Again, we have the best community here, the best chat. The Ferocious Optimist community is second to none. It's amazing, okay? The best. You know, highly supportive, highly empowering, go-getters, people that are trying to achieve more in 2026, have their best year ever. And it's a great, positive, supportive community with accountability, challenges within the community itself, daily chatting and daily Q&A and monthly group coaching sessions in the Ferocious Optimist coaching membership. But I'm going to show you guys how to get there really quickly, share this with you. Again, word from our sponsors, the Ben Pappas Company, my company, sponsoring the podcast. I'm going to show you guys how to get there, okay, and take a look at this. And I'll walk you guys through. I'm going to share my screen really fast. Okay. Here we go. All right, there we are. So again, as I've done before, when you guys are here with me on Friday, Saturday, Sunday, I do this as well too, but I want you guys to be aware of it. The resources that are available to you if you want to join, I'd love to have you. Okay, it's one thing to consume the free content. It's amazing. I put a lot of great stuff out there. I try to do my best with it. But committing to this membership, okay, committing to this membership takes it to another level. The transformation goes so much faster, okay? Your mindset changes. What we're working on right now is understanding the strategic context we all operate in, okay? Framing the problems that are before us. What is the problem? How do you create an analytical mindset? And how do you build strategy? The first thing is we have to know the operating environment, the problems in front of us, the chaos. What is causing us fear and anxiety? What is shaking up our world? That's what we're doing today and yesterday, okay? Tomorrow is our Sunday mindset reset and also our strategic focus. We're going to build strategy tomorrow, okay? And I'm going to be teaching from my course, Unstoppable, the Ferocious Optimist Method. But right here, okay, you go in, you click the link, go into my YouTube bio, click the link right here, all right? And then you can see my websites there. You can see membership and community. Go to membership and community. You can also see my store. You can also book a no-fee discovery call with me too, okay? That's if you're thinking about one-on-one coaching or you want to discuss a situation of me speaking at one of your events for your team, for your company, okay? Or if you want to know more about my one-on-one coaching, book this no-fee discovery call with me here, okay? Or if you have more direct questions about my membership and community, you can book the call as well too. But let's go ahead to membership and community. I want to show you guys that, all right? This is the gateway to a lot of other special offers that I have for people as well too, okay? I have special offers for members for one-on-one coaching, special offers for a new weekly group coaching that I just released, okay? There's a wait list for it right now. And this wait list for the weekly group coaching, okay, is once it gets a certain number of people in there, I'm waiting to have a handful of people. And then I just started it this week. I just opened up the wait list. I'm going to go ahead and launch it, a weekly group coaching membership that'll be just like my monthly group coaching membership, but the transformation, the access, Q&A, with me through a private Zoom call. These are all private communities, okay, that are not available unless you join the membership. So you can see here, Ben Pappas Coaching Community, Unleash Your Warrior, Become Unstoppable. I have a video here, Turn Pain into Power. Many of you have already seen it. If you're new here, please check it out. It's super cool. I'm very proud of it. Okay, that's me on the right. All right, in case you're wondering, I don't think I've said that to you guys yet before. That's also me. I was speaking at the national conference for the sales conference for Pepsi. I was their keynote speaker, gave a big motivational talk there. Turn pain into power. This is actually just before I stepped off on a direct action mission, this picture. But this is a video I want you guys to watch, and we're going to go through that. This is my elite coaching membership and community. It's $87.99 per month. You can go annual, pay $879 per year, and you get 2 months free. Okay, it's really a good deal. You just click on that. When you click on this, it's going to take you to another page. Ben Pappas membership and community. Join the ultimate community. Here's another video you can watch. Monthly payment, group coaching, and membership. Unlock your full potential with the Ben Pappas annual coaching membership and community. Your ultimate key to success in life, business, and personal growth. Okay, whether you're striving to dominate your industry, elevate your mindset, or achieve peak performance, this exclusive membership offers unparalleled guidance and strategies to help you crush your goals. The cool thing is, okay, if we go back to this one, all right. The cool thing is if we go back to this and you go here to go annual. So we go in the annual, okay. When I go here and we go annual, you can click, because it's a one payment, you can choose Klarna. If you choose Klarna, you can go ahead and you can choose your own payment. You could make 18 payments of $54. You can make 12 payments of $78 per month. 6 payments of $152 per month, 4 payments of $219 per month, or 3 payments of $299, or you can pay in full right now. Okay. But the bottom line is if you choose the one payment of $879, you get 2 months for free. And you also get to select a payment structure that works for you. You get to pay monthly payment, pick a monthly payment that works for you. Okay. So that's available for you there. All right. And we're going to go ahead and go back in here, back into this, and you scroll down. All right. And we're going to go in and watch this video in a second. Here's some testimonials. Choosing to work with Ben on my personal and professional development was the best decision I've made in a long time. If you're looking to tackle life's challenges as a ferocious optimist, Ben is the only choice. Working with Ben has been life-changing. I'm not trying to brag. I just want to show you guys, okay? And really quick, Cody Fisher, thank you so much, man. I appreciate you, Cody Fisher. Thank you for the support, brother. It means a lot. So here's what you get inside, right? Live monthly coaching call with me with Q&A. It's a private Zoom call that's only available through the membership to help you refocus, reset, and realign. Weekly accountability and challenges to keep you moving forward. A powerful, positive community that won't let you quit on yourself. Unlimited replay of the sessions, downloadable tools, and slide decks to create lasting change. You get access to all my presentations I use to teach from. That's something I don't do in the YouTube. Obviously, in YouTube, I don't give you the presentations I teach from. I give really in-depth presentations in the library, the coaching library. You have unlimited access to my videos, these private videos in the private vault, okay? And unlimited access. You can download my presentations I use from, that I teach from, okay? That has all my cutting-edge strategies, tools, and techniques to help you get from where you're now to where you want to be that I've used with my coaching clients for 7 years. And I've coached some very, very successful people around the world, CEOs, founders of companies, celebrities, sports athletes, things like that, high-level professionals, entrepreneurs, you name it. I've coached a lot of different people, okay? Unleash your genius, build an unstoppable mindset. It's time to stand up for yourself. Again, these are my options for my coaching membership. But once you join the membership, you're going to unlock options and special offers for one-on-one coaching. You're going to unlock special access to my weekly group coaching membership as well too. You join the main membership, my Ferocious Optimist coaching membership, the monthly membership, and then you're going to unlock the ability to join my weekly group coaching membership with weekly sessions, okay? I will teach for about an hour and 15 minutes. Then we do Q&A for 45 minutes to an hour on a private Zoom call. We're all looking at each other. We're all talking. We're all hearing each other, okay? It's very, very powerful, okay? It's a super supportive community, like I said here. Monthly live group coaching sessions, supportive community, unlimited replay of content. Okay, it's all here. And if you go to visit this page, click the link in my bio, go to the community membership. There's a free gift. Okay, download your free gift. Doesn't cost you anything. Go in there, put your name and your email address. Okay, and I'll email you the PDF. You get a free PDF, a gift right then and there. Okay, and you can learn more about me as well too, what I do, who I am, some more in my bio. Okay, some cool photos. And there's also an application for one-on-one coaching there. So if you want to book a one-on-one coaching call with me in this link that's in the bio in YouTube, okay, the link for one-on-one coaching, book a discovery call, you can also do it through this landing page too, through this web page, okay? That's through the membership and community link, all right? Well, let's go ahead and watch this video really fast because if you're new here, I want you to see this video, okay? It takes you inside my coaching membership and community. And stay around, okay? Stick around. We're going to get, right after this, we're going to get into Russia, okay? What's going on with Russia? What's going on with Ukraine, okay? And why the seizure of the oil tanker, of the Russian oil tanker, is a major strategic impact, okay? With given what's going on with the other NATO countries actually stepping up to front up against Russia, including Germany saying they're going to build the largest land army in Europe. What does this all mean? What's Putin going to do? You know, I'm a big Putin follower, right? Like, you know, I'm a Putin watcher, I should say, not a follower, a Putin watcher. And he did something pretty dramatic and drastic he hasn't done in over a decade to send a message to Europe that, hey, don't F with me. FAFO, right? Mess around, find out. Screw around, find out. And you're going to find out fast. And then also we're going to talk about the regime collapsing in Iran. So stick around. Watch this short video. Stick around. We're going to talk about Iran and Russia right after this. Okay, but everybody, welcome. So glad you decided to click and learn more about my coaching membership and community. I think you're going to get a ton out of it. Okay, this is the place we're going to help you to make a breakthrough from where you are now to where you want to be, to go ahead and get ahead. And my Ferocious Optimist community is going to be there along the way to support you, help you grow, help you stay on track, help you keep your mindset strong, help you to get back off the ground if you get knocked down at any time. Okay. And it's a great supportive community that's going to be there for you, whether you have questions or you need support. You get the challenges, weekly and monthly challenges after the coaching session. Then there's a coaching session, the live coaching session each and every month. That's going to go for about an hour. Then plus Q&A, I stay for as long as you want to stay there for Q&A, usually about 30 or 45 minutes afterwards. And I post all of that in the members area and in the community. So let's go ahead and check this out right now. Let's jump into the members area and take a look what it looks like inside. So you get the actual experience of what it's like to be a member inside my coaching membership and community. Here we go. All right, you can see this was session 1 right here, the live coaching call with me. And some of the notes I have here to please download the membership success path PDF and review it. Click resources button to access. So let's do that right now. Okay, and this is my membership success path. Okay, this is how I describe to you exactly how I want you to succeed and the change and transformation that I want to see you make. Okay, the different stages you have to go through in order to have achieved the objectives that I want you to achieve within the membership. So you'll know when you've achieved everything you need to achieve within the membership, all the way through stage 1, 2, 3, and 4, until you're absolutely in orbit and you're mastering life. Okay. And so it's not just like an infinite membership. You can stay as long as you want. Hopefully you stay for your lifetime, but there definitely are objectives that I want you to meet. Okay. And I clearly define those. And I walk you through in session 1, which you can replay anytime you want. I walk you through in session 1, just exactly how we create that transformation. And I through the success path and what all of those goals and objectives are along the way. So let's go ahead and take a look at this right now. Okay. You can see here, this is the coaching membership. As I'm doing a coaching session, using a presentation to coach from as well too. Okay. And then the Q&A, of course, afterwards. All right. And we'll jump into the next month. All right. Session 2. Here's some of the notes. Topics covered: daily morning routine for focus and energy, daily planning and execution. Okay. Let's jump inside the coaching call itself. This is the Q&A towards the end. And you can see here we are talking about different focus areas, going through the actual presentation. You can see I'm coaching in the little window up here. Okay. So this is what it's like inside the actual membership when you do the live coaching call with me. All right. And then the great thing is that you have unlimited replay. You can replay this as many times as you want. Go in here, the membership. Let's say you didn't understand something. You go ahead and click in here, go ahead and check it out, and then go inside the resources button. And you can actually download the PDF, the presentation, the PowerPoint presentation I used. Here's session 2 that I used to coach from. Okay. I try to use some humor in there as well too. It's a great time. We have a fun time. All right. I don't think any other coach does this, where they give you the actual presentation that they're using in order to create the transformation in the coaching call. They don't give you the presentation that they're using to coach from, to teach from. But I do that for you because I want you to be able to go back. I want you to go back and be able to replay this and learn as much as possible. Okay. So that's one of the great things about this membership, is that you have unlimited replay in the video, unlimited replay in the presentation, as much as you want. Download it, look at it. You're going to get downloadable content such as the success path PDF that's in there. Also a discipline and habit tracker, among other downloadable content that I post from different sessions. Okay. So in a nutshell, that is it within the membership itself. And I'm so glad that you came here and that you took a look inside. I know this is going to be a great membership for you. Inside the community itself, let's go ahead and take a look there now as well. All right. So we go ahead and click over into the community, take a look, and you're getting to see a little behind the scenes peek from my coach's site. Okay. And this is the actual community itself. And you can see here, I've got some motivating things, and there's a challenge posted as well to do the 80-20 rule. Some of the different posts from different people within the community. Okay. You can see it's a pretty lively community, people posting a lot of different things. We have different challenges that are posted as well too. Join the weekly and monthly challenges. They're going to help you get ahead. One of them is we have a goals progress report, checking on your goals, doing breath work, 1 week of no fear, all these different things, weeks of rest. Okay. And so there's also a leaderboard too that you can post that you can get points for. Okay. You can see right now I happen to be at the top of the leaderboard, which is good since I'm the leader and the founder, but sometimes people get ahead of me, which is awesome. So there's a friendly little competition along the way. Who can have the most interaction, who's accomplishing the most of the challenges, who's supporting everyone the most. Okay. Up here, you've got some of the announcements. I will announce the live coaching session 1 week ahead of time, a day ahead of time, and then usually the morning of, and then 1 hour before, and actually when we start. So plenty of reminders to make sure that you don't miss a single coaching session as well, and to make sure that you stay on track. The coaching community is fantastic. Okay. I think you're going to get a ton out of that. And I know this is going to be a great experience for you. This is your chance to work inside a community that's going to hold you accountable, help you to achieve your goals, help you to achieve more. When you feel like you're having some friction, you're going to have a community there that you can reach out to and ask people, hey, have you ever seen this before? Hey, have you ever done this before? People will respond back. They're going to jump right in there and answer you, okay? And Q&A within the actual community itself is a daily thing, daily chat. You can reach out to me and I can work with you, have a daily chat as well. All right. So that's one of the great things about this community that is fantastic. And again, right now, if you're joining now, you're going to get a lot of great opportunities that, I've already talked about. So please jump on this opportunity right now before we get so filled up and the prices change and some of the bonuses go away. So, all right. I'm so glad you came here and you checked it out. I know you won't be disappointed. Go ahead and enter info, join, and I can't wait to see you inside. All right. Make yourself better, make the world better. Have an amazing day. And just remember, go get yours. Let's go. All right. Woo, we're doing it. We're doing it. We're back in action. We are back in action, everybody. And I want to give you guys a big round of applause. We're going to fire it up. Let's hear it from the left. Oh, yeah. All right, we're ready. Let's do it. Oh, yeah. Let's hear it from the right. Oh, yeah. I hear you guys. I see you. Nice job. Clap it up. Clap it up. Good job. Let's fire it back up, everyone. Fire it back up, okay? Fire it back up. We got a lot to talk about. A lot of fun stuff going to happen right now, okay? I didn't have a joke for you, but I got lots of different jokes. One more time. One more time. Cheering for you guys. And so, now, we're going to get into our next topic. And our next topic is Russia. We're doing Russia right now. Next topic is Russia. I had it perfectly timed, and then I didn't shut it off. All right. Yes, if you're just joining us, you haven't seen it yet. I am technologically advanced now. I got lots of new stuff for you guys, okay? Let's fire this chat up. We're in the second half of the Benathon, and we're going to fire this puppy up. Everybody, give me a 1 in the chat. Give me a 1 in the chat if you're tracking, you're ready to rock and roll, you're ready to get the party started for the second half of this Benathon live crazy marathon we're doing tonight, and the round robin around the world, a whirlwind tour of the U.S. national security, of the Trump administration, of the foreign policy, of everything that's happening. Okay? Give me that 1 in the chat. Tim Burke! What's up, Tim Burke? Juliet Actual, what's happening? Good to have you here. The Diamond Dog. It is like freaking 3 in the morning, 5 in the morning, 4 in the morning. I don't know. Everyone's ready to roll. Let's go. Let's do it. Let's shake up YouTube right now with so much energy and so much fire and fury that they don't know what the hell to do with us. We're going to get it going, okay? How about you guys feeling good about that? I knew you were. All right. Thank you. Woo! Hell yeah. Hell yeah. We are doing it. Yeah. There's a lot happening. There's just a lot happening. And our old buddy Putin, just like my thumbnail shows, I think he is very afraid right now that the same thing that happened to Maduro is going to happen to him. If you saw the thumbnail, you saw his face, okay? He is very concerned, okay? I think he's very concerned with all the rhetoric, all the firepower, okay? All the shock and awe that's going on. I think there was a lot that he's concerned about, right? I think he's not a happy camper right now. I think Ukraine is doing some things he didn't expect. I think you know, I think he probably saw what Trump did. Right? I think he saw something that that Trump did here. And I think he saw what we did with Maduro and what we're doing right now. And I think he got afraid. And I think this is probably kind of what he looked like right there. Okay? I think that was it. I think that's what he looked like. You know? I think that's what was happening. Okay? I got lots of jokes. I got lots of stuff for you guys tonight. Call your friends. Tell your friends to get in here because now I'm getting punchy, right? I'm getting tired. I'm getting tired. I'm getting punchy. I had an early morning and a late night. I'm getting punchy. I'm feeling a little punch drunk right now. And who knows what directions it's going to take. Okay, this could be the comedy hour. It could be the Ben Pappas comedy hour. We don't know. We don't know what's going to happen. I could start making fun of people, imitating world leaders, all kinds of things, right? Lots of inappropriate stuff. It's all possible. You guys have been around with me for a little while. No, all these things are possible. All these things can happen. And I'm not afraid to make them happen. Okay? Let's just be honest about that. All right, let's get into this next one. Okay? Got a lot of good stuff here. Russia, Ukraine, U.S., what's going on? But first of all, what the hell is happening with Russia and NATO? I already told you about Germany. A lot of stuff happening with Germany, right? Apparently, the NATO allies got together and they decided we are personally going to deal with Russia. We're going to show our strength and we're going to go to Ukraine. And we're going to go inside Ukraine and we're going to help the Ukrainians inside Ukraine. That's what they're saying. This happened just 2 or 3 days ago. Okay? So what I want you guys to do is I want you guys to take a look at the timing of this. 4 days ago in Paris, NATO leaders got together, European leaders got together, said we're going into Ukraine to help Ukraine. Okay? The day after that, Putin responds. Okay? Actually, let me say this. They, on January 10th, got together in Paris, said they're going into Ukraine and going to help out Ukraine against Russia. The next day, the U.S. seizes a Russian-flagged oil tanker while a Russian sub is shadowing it and threatening, like, trying to be imposing and scary. The U.S. is like, yeah, who cares, whatever. We're taking the ship. Do something. So Putin the next day responds very strongly. How do you think Putin's feeling? You think he was feeling like that? Do you think he was feeling a little like that? I see some of your responses now. Yep. Okay. He was feeling it. Let me tell you something, my friend. He was feeling it. He's definitely feeling it. Okay. I think he was pretty shocked. Let's watch this video. Let's check this out. And it's not so much, let me see here. Old Mr. A. Trump said, yeah, it's not so much 9:30 being late, but it's talking for 2 hours, 2.5 hours that gets you a little bit, can get you a little bit, That's really what it is. All right, let's see here. Oh, yeah, here we go. NATO. Check this out. Check it out, guys. Check this out. All right, let's see here. There we go. Let's check this out. What do they have to say in NATO? What do they have to say? We're going to find out right now.
This is a vital part of our Ironcast commitment to stand with Ukraine for the long term. It paves the way for the legal framework under which British, French, and partner forces could operate on Ukrainian soil, securing Ukraine's skies and seas, and regenerating Ukraine's armed forces for the future.
All right, so just so everyone's clear here, when you say in military terms, and I want you guys to tell me in the chat if you think I'm wrong, but if you say in military terms, we're going to secure the skies and seas, to me, as a military professional, okay, this tells me you're trying to have a no-fly zone. A no-fly zone is an act of war. This is telling Russia you can't fly here anymore. And if you do, we'll shoot you down. That's what that means. How do you think Vladimir Putin's going to respond to this one? How do you think he's going to respond? And put it in the chat. Do you think the NATO countries without the United States could enforce a no-fly zone against Russia over Ukraine? Put a 1 in the chat if you think the NATO countries without the United States could truly and successfully enforce a no-fly zone over Ukraine against Russia. And I'm asking that honestly, because I'm not even doing the math yet in my head. Maybe they can, but I don't know. I don't know if they have. I don't know if they have enough firepower to do that. I don't know if they have enough assets to do that. So put in the chat what you guys think. Okay. Let's see. Hey Phoenix, what's going on? Welcome. Jenks, what's up, man? Jenks, I didn't even know you were here. What's up, brother? Great to have you. Yep. Okay. Yep. Put a 1 if you think the NATO powers without the United States can enforce a no-fly zone over Ukraine against Russia. Put a 0 if you don't think they can. I want to get an idea where we're at here. Okay. I'm with you guys. I don't think they can. I'm with you. I don't think so. Let's keep going. Let's see what Putin has to say about this. This is hilarious.
And regenerating Ukraine's armed forces for the future.
Russia's first and most chilling response came after the UK and France declared that they would operate on Ukrainian soil. On Thursday, Russia said any troops sent to Ukraine by Western governments would be legitimate combat targets. The Russian foreign...
By the way, one of my buddies went to Ukraine early on in the war to work there to help out the Ukrainians. Okay, he went right over, volunteered, was doing whatever he could. Okay, former infantry officer, infantry commander, just trying to do his part. Don't you know, no kidding, 100% no kidding, the Russian government put him on a terrorist watch list. He's an official terrorist. He's been labeled as a terrorist by the Russian government. Can you believe that? Yeah, I hear you, Tim. 0, at least not for long. Joe Saunders, Russian does not have the numbers. Just saying. Yep, I agree with that. Yep. So, okay, wait a second. Now, Joe's saying Russia does not have the numbers. Okay, Joe's saying, yeah, okay. Joe's saying easily a 1. Got it. Okay. So they can do it. Russia doesn't have the numbers. I'm saying I don't know if Europe has the numbers against Russia. I'm saying that. And here's why. Because I don't think it'll just be aircraft. I think Russia's going to pound the crap out of them. I think if they're launching jets from anywhere, where they're launching the jets from is going to become a legitimate target. You cannot underestimate, in my opinion, the nuttiness of Putin and how desperate he actually is. Remember, dictators ride the tiger. If they get off the tiger and try to take a break, the tiger can eat them. I think Putin's whole life depends on him winning. He has to win in Ukraine. He must win. Okay? That's it. Not just for his legacy, but for his life. Okay, let's keep going here. Yep, my friend was named a terrorist and came out in official documents, okay, that were found by our government and passed on to him that he was named on the terrorist watch list. Insane. As a terrorist leader. Yeah, nice. Good luck with that. Okay, here we go.
Western governments would be legitimate combat targets. The Russian Foreign Ministry, in a statement, said militaristic declarations by a coalition of pro-Ukraine Western governments were becoming increasingly dangerous. Russian Foreign Ministry spokesperson Maria Zakharova doubled down on Moscow's long-standing position. She declared Western forces in Ukraine as legitimate targets. Russia has long opposed the presence of any Western troops in Ukraine. She characterized the agreement reached by Ukraine's allies a new militaristic declaration. Remember, Russia has repeatedly said that it was forced to invade Ukraine to prevent it from being absorbed into NATO.
Yeah, it was forced to invade Ukraine. That's their story. There's a lot of other reasons he's actually doing it, not just for that. But that's part of it. The fresh militaristic declarations of the so-called coalition of the willing and the Kiev regime constitute a veritable axis of war. The plans of these participants are becoming increasingly dangerous and destructive for the future of the European continent and its inhabitants, who are also being forced by Western politicians to finance these aspirations out of their own pockets. Okay, There's a lot going on here, a lot to talk about here. Okay. Let's rewind a little bit. What else she said before that? These warnings have been voiced repeatedly at the highest levels and remain relevant. All such units and facilities will be considered legitimate combat targets of the Russian armed forces. Russia warns the deployment of Western military units, military facilities, depots, and other infrastructure on Ukrainian territory will be classified as foreign intervention, posing a direct threat to the security of not only Russia, but also other European countries. Should the NATO allies take the Russians at their word? Okay. Give me a 1 in the chat if you think the Russians and Putin are not playing. Give me a 1 in the chat if you think they should take the Russians seriously when they say this is going to be foreign intervention and a direct threat on Russia if they put their troops in Ukraine and they're going to go after them. Put a 1 in the chat if you think they should take them seriously. And put a 0 in the chat if you think Russia's just full of smoke. It's full of, hot air. Put a 0 if you think Russia should not be taken seriously about this. 1 in the chat if you should take them seriously. A 0 if we should not. Especially the European powers. Okay. Cody Fisher, I'm not saying you are wrong. I'm just going on Russian performance so far. Okay. Joe Saunders. Cody Fisher, not saying okay. Joe Saunders further explained Russia couldn't even do preventative maintenance on their ground vehicles during the first years of the Ukraine war. Paper tiger indeed. Joe, you might have a point, man. You might have a point, Joe. And then Cody Fisher says, yeah, man, I'm not so sure. Seems like they have shown they have much deeper arsenal than we realize. Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. That's the thing is it's very uncertain. They have a huge base of people. They've lost 1 million people, yet they're still fighting. They're still in the fight. I've shown videos before about Russia's economy being still a war economy. Everything's towards the war. They're willing to deprive their citizens. They still have people that they're giving bonuses to join the military. Okay, so I mean, their lifeblood is the oil. So us seizing the oil tanker is squeezing Putin. We are choking Putin off. Okay, we're going to talk about that. All right. So let's say, I appreciate you guys all voting. Steve says 1. Tim Burke says 1. Jenks says 1. Tim Burke, Phoenix, 100%. Okay. All right. Yep, Phoenix, you're right about that. Mark says 1. Lady Ann says 1. Oh, Mark says 50-50. Okay. Steve, what % of troops in Ukraine are NATO versus USA? I don't think there are really any right now, okay? We have U.S. equipment in Ukraine. We don't have any troops, though. I mean, we don't have any official troops there, okay? Whether we have certain units there doing things, I don't know. But officially, open source, we do not officially. NATO should not either right now, okay? But it sounds like they're going to. That's why this is a big deal. That's why we're talking about this, that they're saying if NATO deploys troops into Ukraine, they will be legitimate targets by the Russians. That's what the Russians are saying, okay? Paul says 0. Okay. All right, let's keep on rolling right here. Okay, we're going to keep going.
Legitimate targets. Russia has long opposed the presence of any Western troops in Ukraine. She characterized the agreement reached by Ukraine's allies a new militaristic declaration. Remember, Russia has repeatedly said that it was forced to invade Ukraine to prevent it from being absorbed into NATO and used as a launch pad to threaten Russia. Russian warning comes after a dramatic move in Paris on January 6 this year. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky, French President Emmanuel Macron, and UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer signed a draft declaration on security for Kyiv at the Coalition of the Willing meeting. The mission? To secure Ukraine's skies, seas, and rebuild its army.
This coalition of resolute members shows a new stage, which, in my opinion, corresponds to what we defend, and which, in my opinion, also corresponds to America's wishes. What France has been defending over the past years is a more independent Europe and greater strategic autonomy. In other words, a Europe that takes care of itself and more of its own security, adhering to NATO frameworks but investing more. And this is what President Trump spoke about during his first term. And now Europeans need to take on more responsibility. And this is what we're doing. And it is logical. all the work that has been done in recent months through the efforts of resolute coalitions, and I want to highlight Japan's presence in this coalition, and Canada and Australia and New Zealand in particular. The Canadian Prime Minister was with us today. It is a very strong signal. He is also committed to this security guarantee. In other words, this is a coalition of the resolute, if you can say that. It is like the living heart of support to Ukraine to guarantee its security. It speaks of what the next day will be, how we position ourselves to provide Ukraine with all necessary assistance, and in particular, the Ukrainian army that will ensure it, along with the participation of international forces. Here, the support and involvement of Americans is, of course, important for many countries. This is very important for many countries that are members of NATO, but it is also important because the forces of America, and specifically the exclusive forces that only America has, are key, and these last weeks have shown changes because the Americans are involved. As Chancellor Merz mentioned, during a meeting in Berlin, he showed a certain stage and indicated the direction. Further, the American general, who is in charge of the American forces in Europe, but also coordinates American...
Okay, I'm going to stop this guy. He's doing a lot of fast talking. A lot of fast talking right here. This is Macron. Okay. Joe Saunders in the house. Thank you, brother. Appreciate it. Joe Saunders, you have a serious question. I appreciate this, your generosity. Thank you. Okay, honest question. We've seen Putin raise conscript age. We've seen Putin offer prisoners the ability to serve, to vacate sentences. How long before Russia says, enough, Putin? Just saying. Yeah, I mean, here's my thing, Joe. I think that if Putin does not get a win here in Ukraine very soon, like I think this year in 2026, I think the Russian people are probably going to say that's enough. The Russian people, I think the Russian military will stage a coup. That's what I think. Because that's really the only ones that can do it. The Russian military are really the only ones that can stage the coup. So that's what I think. You guys put what you think in the chat as well for Joe. You know, put this in the chat as well. But I think, serious talk, Joe. I think, I think that this is it. I think they're in the death throes. I really do. I think they're almost in the death throes right now. If he doesn't get a win, this year in 2026, it could be as early as the summer that he's in big trouble. If he doesn't get some kind of win and sue for peace and control the Donbass and get some serious strategic gains, I think he's going to be in trouble. Then I think also as well too, if they start getting hammered by the Ukrainians or the NATO allies step in and start shooting all their planes down, all these problems, all these things like that happen, I think they're going to have serious problems. Okay, and I think Putin's going to be pretty much done. But you guys get in there and tell Joe what you think as well too. That's my opinion. Okay. Thank you, Joe. I appreciate you, man. Thank you so much, Joe Saunders. You're going to get the round of applause right now. Awesome. Appreciate you, brother. Big round of applause for Joe Saunders. Awesome. All right, let's keep on rolling here. And you can see Macron there is talking, saying all these things about the U.S. getting involved, and the U.S. has to get involved. Let's hear what Putin has to say about all this. Okay, let's hear what is going on and what Putin has to say. Let's get in here. Okay, here we go. Actually, we're going to go a little bit longer on this. There's a little bit more here to look at. Here we go.
Participation in NATO was also present with us and participated in these planning sessions. That is, there are already several in these layers of security where America has clearly stated its position, its presence, particularly regarding monitoring, that is, oversight of the front line. And the presence of Americans is extremely important. It was confirmed. In recent months, we have developed a certain block, which is logical, stable. The Americans are demanding more from us, and this is logical, and we want this too. First, there is a decisive coalition that provides such guarantees, but we also have an American presence, thanks to those forces and the backstop to these guarantees. In this context, on one hand, President Trump's declaration at Mar-a-Lago with President Zelensky.
Trump's I'm jumping forward because this guy's talking so fast. I don't think anybody can take it. Here we go.
Witkoff and son-in-law Jared Kushner ruled out sending its own troops to Ukraine. Witkoff, however, said that President Trump strongly stands behind security protocols aimed at deterring future attacks on Ukraine.
Because President Trump's mandate is that he wants a peace in Ukraine. And we are determined on his behalf to do everything possible to attain that peace. A lot of progress began first in Geneva. We made tremendous progress there. We moved on to Berlin. Lots of progress happened there. And as President Zelensky identified, we had a very compelling meeting in Mar-a-Lago. And we look forward to more progress as a result of everything that's occurred today. We think we're largely finished with security protocols, which are important so that the people of Ukraine know.
All right, I got a question here. Steve, is the U.S. still funding NATO? If so, why are they not in the fight? Well, so yes and no. President Trump, one of his big pushes, Steve, is that NATO funds itself, right? NATO was supposed to give, I think, 2.5% of their GDP. Now he's got them up to allegedly, apparently, giving 5% of their GDP. Right now, obviously, you see the Germans are rebuilding completely more than ever their military. They said they're going to have the largest land army in the continent of Europe. Okay. Scary at the same time, right? To go against the Russian threat. So that's part of it, is because one of Trump's policies is that we aren't going to be funding NATO anymore. And we've been providing a ton of military equipment to Ukraine, tons of equipment to fight the Russians, okay? Whether it's anti-aircraft, Stinger missiles, lots of different things, okay? The Ukrainians are masters of building their own drones, that's for sure. So that's how we are supporting them, but we're not in the fight per se with our conventional forces or our special operations forces, okay? So that's a different thing all the way around. And so what they're saying is that, NATO, the European allies, have to be more concerned than we are. We can't want this to end more than they do. This is on their doorstep. They need to do something. And so now they're gathering together. This is what this meeting is all about. They're gathering together. They're actually going to do something. Now, we're going to hear from Putin in 1 second here. And how did they respond? Okay, we're going to see this in a minute. How do they respond? Okay, and here we go. Let's check this out. And how do they respond? Let us see. The drum roll. How do they respond? Keep on the drum roll. Until I find it. But before I do that, let's talk about this. And here it is. The drum roll, please. We've got it. So, before we talk about that, what you have here is now this occurs. Okay, January 6th, NATO gets together, says we're going into Ukraine and we're going to enforce a no-fly zone in Ukraine, right? We just talked about that. We said how they said they're going to have control of the skies and the sea. Think about that. That's a no-fly zone. Okay, that's an act of war. That's why Russia's like, whoa, what are you talking about? Well, you're all going to be legitimate targets then. This is a direct threat to the Russian Federation. You realize that, right? And they're like, yeah, whatever. Okay, big brother U.S. is going to help us. So then the next day, the next day, this happens.
Breaking news with a major development just moments ago. Sources just confirmed to CNN that the United States has seized an oil tanker that had been linked to Venezuela. Now, Russia is responding to the seizure, saying they are the owners of this vessel. The Trump administration has not acknowledged the Russian status, claiming the ship to be stateless. But nevertheless, you can see the sensitive nature of the situation. Russia had sent ships to track and maybe even protect this vessel over the last 24 hours. The United States has been tracking it across the Atlantic. It's the same ship that the Coast Guard had tried to seize last month near Venezuela. They were unable to board it, and the ship changed course and fled. But now the breaking news, the United States has seized it. Nick Robertson tracking the developments for us. Nick, what are you learning?
Yeah, over the last few days, John, U.S. Air Force has been flying P-8 surveillance aircraft tracking this ship as it came into the northern Atlantic. It's been heading sort of skirting wide of Ireland, heading up towards Iceland and that sort of gap to go towards the north of Russia, the Arctic Circle. Marine tracking experts believe a vessel of this size was likely headed towards Murmansk. That was the track that it was on, but that all came to a sudden screeching halt about 2.5 hours ago. Marine trackers noticing that the ship turned direction at that moment. And this really comports with the information we're getting now that the ship has been seized by U.S. military and Coast Guard. It has been tracked closely by them, as we say, since it fled the coast of Venezuela about 2 weeks ago. What makes this even more interesting, if you will, the ship, when it started its journey 2 weeks ago, was called the Bella One. Halfway along that route, it changed its name to the Marinera and reflagged itself as Russian. Not clear why. Were they trying to get protection from Russia? Was it always Russian? Unclear. The port that it appeared to be headed for in the past couple of days does appear to have been a Russian port. But now that ship has turned around, no longer heading north, for the last couple of hours heading south. Not clear where it will end up. It is believed to be empty, or at least devoid of oil. We don't know what else or who else may be on board of it, but certainly enough for Russia to deploy military assets to try to give it some shadow of some kind of protection, and clearly not enough to deter the U.S. Coast Guard and the U.S. military assets that seized it a few hours ago, John.
All right. This always kind of makes me laugh when they say the U.S. Coast Guard. Okay, this was probably Dev Group or some type of, some special operations force, probably of the Navy SEAL variant, right? I know Force Recon did the seizure in Venezuela. The Venezuelan ship, that was Force Recon that did that, the first one, Marine Force Recon. But probably this far out, away from the Marine Amphibious Ready Group, it's probably, honestly, either SEAL Team 6 or it's, another special operations force, possibly just regular SEALs. SEAL Team 6, obviously, Dev Group is different from the regular SEALs. Those are, a higher tier, higher level of people, level of operators. So that always kind of cracks me up. But so the end result of what happened here, you guys all know the story. What happened here is that we seized the ship. Okay. And so what the story we're building here is, we're going to get to Iran in a second here. Okay. But the story we're building here is that now NATO says we're going into Ukraine. The U.S. seizes the ship, the Russian ship, despite Russia saying, don't touch that ship, that's our ship, don't touch it. It got really sensitive. If you guys remember in the news, it got really sensitive. What's in that ship? We wanted to find out. And so we seized the ship. We haven't heard any reports about what was in there afterwards, but, we've got it now. Okay? And so what was the Russian response? Let's see. Let's see what the Russian response was, okay? He's also getting some other bad news here, okay? It's coming up. A lot of things are building. A lot of things building. And here we go. Let's take a look at this. Let's look at this one.
And thought that he was on top of everything that involved the peace negotiations between Russia and Ukraine. He had all of the cards, or so he believed, along with enough influence over the United States to ensure that any deal that was hashed out would be far more favorable to Russia than Ukraine or Europe would want it to be. Overconfidence has proven to be Putin's undoing. The Russian president has just received the worst news that he's ever gotten, as both the US and the coalition of the willing have delivered blows to Putin's ambitions of taking over Ukraine. On January 7th, NBC...
Okay, did you guys hear that? He said both the US and the coalition of the willing. Okay, and he's going to talk about here the press conference we just watched. Here we go.
News reported on a meeting between the members of the Coalition of the Willing in Paris. This coalition is a concept that has been discussed for much of the past year, Sky News reports, and it essentially amounts to a group of nations that claim to be willing to help.
Now that's Keir Starmer, the British Prime Minister. Okay, that's the UK, British Prime Minister right there.
Guarantee Ukraine's security if an end ever comes to the war. Sky News says that the concept exists to allow NATO members to act as a group without any member of that collective defense organization vetoing actions that the rest of the members want to take. Of particular concern are Hungary and Slovakia, both of which are NATO and European Union members that have proven somewhat sympathetic to Putin's cause. The coalition allows NATO members to act without the approval of these two nations. And at the Paris summit, the coalition got a major shot in the arm from a country that had previously been wary of offering it any concrete support. NBC News reports that this coalition summit was the first to have been attended by two of America's key envoys, Steve Witkoff and Jared Kushner. These are the very same envoys that US President Donald Trump sent to Russia for a meeting with Putin's representatives back in December, meaning that they lie at the heart of the US's attempts to broker a peace deal between Russia and Ukraine. The presence of these two individuals alone would have been concerning to Putin, who likely would have hoped to see them as far away from the European nations that are offering security guarantees as possible. However, it's what Witkoff and Kushner said during the summit that will give Russia's president true cause for alarm. Joined by the US's leading general in Europe, Alexis Grinkovich, both Witkoff and Kushner made statements suggesting the US strongly supports something akin to the security protocols that are being offered to Ukraine by the Coalition of the Willing. Witkoff made the clearest announcement of US support of such protocols. Standing alongside the leaders of Ukraine, Germany, France, and the UK, Trump's special envoy said, "Those security protocols are meant to deter any attacks, any further attacks in Ukraine, and if there are any attacks, they're meant to defend, and they will do both. They are as strong as anyone has ever seen." Kushner reinforced these statements, adding that security protocols of some sort are needed for a lasting peace, and that it's right for Ukraine to want these protocols to be in place. If Ukraine is to make a final deal, they have to know that after a deal they are secure. They have, obviously, a robust deterrence, and there's real backstops to make sure that this will not happen again, Kushner said. In essence, this seems to be the US saying that it's going to support the presence of the coalition of the willing troops in Ukraine as part of any peace or ceasefire deal that's negotiated with Russia. We say seems because the support for the coalition appears to be implied rather than outright stated. NBC News doesn't report either Witkoff or Kushner outright stating that the coalition of the willing's plans are necessarily...
Okay, so what they're saying right here is that the U.S. is implying support of the coalition of the willing, okay? I know, Steve, you had asked that question about why isn't the U.S. getting more involved in the fight if we're funding NATO? But here we are, and we're seeing that very different if they're implying their support of the coalition of the willing versus actually stating it in writing that they are supporting them, the coalition of the willing. So right now you have the U.S. is implying support by sending these envoys, by saying that we have to have a security protocol so this never happens again if there's a peace treaty. Now, maybe they know something we don't know. Maybe they're estimating that Russia is going to accept a peace treaty this summer or this year, right? Like I told you, I think Putin has to win this year, either have peace, allow the Russian economy to repair itself, the country to repair itself, and he has to show that he won something, like he takes over the Donbas, takes over that whole portion of Ukraine, the eastern portion of Ukraine, or he keeps pressing for a major victory. Now with the coalition of the willing coming into Ukraine, though, and saying they're going to dominate the skies, this is basically, war. And so I don't know how the United States is going to play this, because they are the ones now, in many ways, shapes, and forms, they're the ones that are aggressing in Russia business. They're in Russia's business because Ukraine is not a NATO ally. So if they go to Ukraine and they get in a fight with Russia, do we look at that as Article 5? I don't think so. Because they're going to the fight. Russia isn't invading their country. He's not going to their countries and shooting them down. That's like when we enacted Article 5, when actually all the other countries in NATO did, when the U.S. was attacked on 9/11, the Twin Towers fell, NATO enacted Article 5 and went to Afghanistan, okay? And so, NATO countries were contributing in Afghanistan because this was an attack on one. An attack on one is an attack on all, okay? And so in this case, this would not be an attack on them. This is them attacking Russia, enforcing a no-fly zone. So the U.S. is not obligated to then fulfill an Article 5 duty, okay? Article 5 obligations, I think, do not apply here. That's my opinion, okay? And I think it actually is. Not just my opinion. I think that's the way it is, okay? So tell me what you guys think in the chat. Put a 1 in the chat if you agree with that. Put a 0 in the chat if you don't agree with that, okay? I want to hear what you guys have to say. Put a 1 in the chat if you agree with that. I just said. I've put a 0 in the chat if you don't agree with it. Let's get this party going. All right, let's roll. Let's listen to some more here. This is good stuff from the, I think this is the military channel. Let me see the name of the channel so we can give them props they deserve. They do great stuff. Yep, the military show. Subscribe to these guys. They do great work. The military show covers everything. They're fantastic. Okay, just a shout out to them for letting us use their stuff and for them making this great content. Here we go.
What the US would support. Having said that, coalition leaders have also claimed that the allies may take part in a US-led ceasefire monitoring and verification mechanism, likely involving sensors, satellites, and drones. This appears to mean that the US will be keeping tabs on Russia while feeding data back to the coalition, so its troops on the ground can take action whenever necessary. However, this mechanism is proposed and not set in stone. Still, the US choosing to make these comments at a coalition summit appears intended to be a hint for Putin as to where America's current considerations lie. There's also no mention of the US putting any boots on the ground itself. That shouldn't be surprising, as Trump stated back in August that any American contribution would not involve soldiers inside Ukraine. When it comes to security, Europeans are willing to put people on the ground. We're willing to help them with things, especially probably by air, Trump said in an interview with Fox News.
All right, let's look at that again. Okay, here's what Trump said. President Trump said, when it comes to security, here it is. When it comes to security, Europeans are willing to put people on the ground. We're willing to help them with things, especially
probably by
air. When it comes to security, Europeans are willing to put people on the ground. We're willing to help them with things, especially probably by air. Okay?
Air, Trump said in an interview with Fox News. Witkoff and Kushner's comments don't seem to contradict.
But what I want to say is this, okay? What I want to say is that in the meantime, what had happened? In the meantime, well, I'll tell you what happened. You know what happened. In the meantime, this happened, right? In the meantime, this happened.
Nick
Right
Robertson tracking the situation for us. Let's go to the White House now. CNN's Elena Treen is there. Elena, bring us up to speed on what you're hearing and whether the White House is saying anything about conversations they may be having with Russia about this.
Yeah, look, I'm actually, so this has been a big thing that they have been, considering, John, regarding the seizure of the oil tanker. And it comes, of course, as they have really made moves to seize other tankers off the coast of Venezuela. With the administration view largely on this is that they had already moved forward with this operation in trying to get what was previously known, as Nick laid out, as the...
Okay, so in the meantime, here's what we have, right? In the meantime, U.S. seizes Venezuela-linked oil ship that Russia claims to own. Russia had a submarine there. Think about this. They had a sub guarding this ship. Said, don't touch it. It's ours. Don't touch it. We were like, yeah, whatever. We took it. So he's got the coalition of the willing. He's got the U.S. envoys, Witkoff and Kushner, okay, both supporting them, saying, yeah, we're supporting. President Trump says they're willing to put people on the ground. We're willing to help by air. Okay? Putin gets a whole oil tanker seized. Who knows what was in there? Oil, maybe other stuff. We don't know. No one knows. Okay? The bottom line is this. Putin feels the walls closing in on him. And add to that, I don't have it tonight, but to add to that, Ukraine used a robot tank to wipe out a unit recently in a tactical battle. Okay? It wasn't like a massive victory, but they wiped out like a, I don't know. It was a small unit, a Russian small unit with a robot tank. Ukraine is cracking the code on drone warfare, robotic warfare, okay? All these things. And Russia's feeling the heat. And now the coalition of the willing is talking about a no-fly zone. So what does Putin do? Putin does what Putin does best and goes absolutely bananas and does this, okay? Here's what he does. So, Putin sends a warning to Ukraine and the West with a weapon not used since 2024, okay? It's not that long ago, truth be told. I thought it was 10 years, not that long ago. All right, it's this thing here. I don't know what this is. We're going to see. A part of Russian nuclear-capable hypersonic. This is huge, okay? He launched a hypersonic missile that is nuclear-capable. They didn't have the warhead on it, but this is what they use to launch their nuclear weapons. Okay, that means it's hypersonic, the Oreshnik missile system at the site of the Russian missile strike amid Russia's attack on Ukraine. Okay, in the Liev region of Ukraine, January 9th, that's yesterday, 2026, in case you didn't know. This is from Reuters, from the Security Service of Ukraine. Okay. London, January 9th. President Vladimir Putin launched an Oreshnik hypersonic missile appears aimed at intimidating Ukraine and sending a signal of Russian military might to Europe and the United States at a crucial juncture in talks to end the war. Okay. Let's watch this little video. I didn't even realize there's a video there. Let's check it out.
Ukraine said this is the powerful hypersonic missile Russia fired into the western region overnight. The strike was part of a barrage in which Moscow launched 242 drones and 35 other missiles at infrastructure. The target was near the border with NATO and EU member Poland. European allies branded the hit as an attempt to intimidate them from supporting Ukraine. Moscow, which has fired the Oreshnik once before at Ukraine, said the strike was an act of retaliation. It was a response, Russia said, to an attempted drone attack on one of President Vladimir Putin's residences last month. Ukraine denies this attack, calling it an absurd lie, and the United States has also said this did not happen. Moscow says the Oreshnik is impossible to intercept. Defense expert Sebastian Tube said the deadly strike showcased Russia's capabilities.
It is obviously a bit of a warning sign, not only to Ukraine, but also the rest of Europe, considering the cutting-edge technologies that have been used in this attack. Within Europe, there's only a very limited capability that can be effectively utilized against this type of threat.
Residents in Ukraine's capital described the night attack as an act of terror, with one saying it undermines the ongoing peace talks. Ukraine has met with the US and European allies this week in Paris to negotiate a peace deal before presenting it to Russia. Moscow has shown little indication thus far that it will drop its demands.
Okay, so pretty big deal here, right? This Oreshnik missile. Putin has repeatedly boasted of the speed and destructive power of the Oreshnik, which Russia first fired at Ukraine in November 2024. Since then, it has kept the weapon in reserve. The overnight Oreshnik strike in western Ukraine came after a week of setbacks for Russia. On Saturday, President Donald Trump sent U.S. Special Forces to capture Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro, a close Putin ally, and on Wednesday. So think about this. Maduro gets captured, Putin ally, Putin position, right? Russia, huge Russian interest, huge Russian oil, gone, captured. U.S. takes it. U.S. captures the oil tanker. At the same time, now NATO allies, okay, the coalition of the willing are emboldened. They have a press conference. We're all going to go into Ukraine. We're going to repel the Russians. We're going to impose control of the sky and control the sea. Damn. You know what else happened that I'm not talking about right now? Russia attacked a bunch of cargo ships bound for Ukraine. They sunk them, destroyed them. So they are responding with a lot of force. This is going to be a very dangerous year, I think. A very dangerous year. Okay? So Maduro's captured, a close Putin ally. On Wednesday, U.S. forces seized a Russian-flagged oil tanker in the North Atlantic. On Tuesday, Britain and France announced plans to deploy troops in Ukraine in the event of a ceasefire, prompting Moscow to respond that it would view foreign soldiers as legitimate combat targets. Gerhard Mangold, a Russian specialist at the University of Innsbruck in Austria, said Moscow was frustrated at being sidelined during weeks of diplomacy between the U.S., Ukraine, and the Europeans, and particularly mad about the planned potential troop deployment by Kiev's European allies. The use of the Oreshnik should be seen in that context, he said. It's a signal to the United States and the Europeans about the military capabilities of the Russian army. He said Moscow wanted to convey that Russia is to be taken seriously given its military arsenal, and that the Europeans and Trump should return to a minimum of respect for the Russian position in the negotiations. Destruction is not necessarily the goal. The Oreshnik is capable of carrying nuclear as well as conventional warheads, although there was no suggestion of any nuclear component to the latest attack. A senior Ukrainian official told Reuters that the missile struck a state enterprise in the western city of Lviv and was likely carrying inert or dummy warheads in 2024, when Russia first fired it to test the weapon in war. It does appear that at this point, Russia is using Oreshnik for signaling purposes, so the destruction is not necessarily the goal. Okay? it's probably a general signal of resolve to escalate. My guess is that it will be read this way by the West. All right. So they responded with this crazy missile, okay? And this missile obviously can carry a nuclear warhead. Do you think, again, put a 1 in the chat if you think Russia was trying to intimidate the United States and the Europeans both. Put a 1 in the chat if they launched this missile to intimidate the United States and intimidate the Europeans, because this missile can carry a nuclear warhead. Put a 1 in the chat there, all right? That's what's going on with Russia, okay? And let's see what our poll, let's see the results of our poll here. Let's see the results of our poll. Please remember to like, subscribe, and share. Appreciate all of you. Helps the channel out. Thank you. Should the U.S. put more intense pressure on Russia to help choke off their resources? 64% say yes. 36% say no. Okay. So we got the majority saying yes, we should put more pressure on them. All right. I agree. Okay. That's what's happening with Russia. Definitely a dangerous situation. I think this is the beginning of the end of this conflict this year. I'm hoping it does not go into World War III, obviously, and it doesn't expand beyond Ukraine. Now, let's get to the next moment you've all been waiting for. We're going to get right into this right now, and we are getting into Iran. So what is going on with Iran? The bottom line is this. The Iranian regime is basically collapsing. It's getting close. There are riots going all over the place in Iran. I'm going to show you an interactive map. Okay, I promise you guys I'd have this. Super cool. It shows the riots, where they're happening, okay, and what the collapse would likely look like in Iran if it happens. The security apparatus fracture is the big one, okay? Iran's system survives only because the coercive stack holds up. The IRGC, the Iranian Republican Guard Corps, that's their Revolutionary Guard Corps, and the Bazaar intelligence and judiciary. Collapse becomes plausible when that stack splinters, okay? Not necessarily because protesters win, but because enforcers stop enforcing. If the IRGC cracks and they don't want to do it anymore, or the intelligence apparatus decides, yeah, it's not worth it, we don't want to do this, and the judiciary doesn't want to enforce things, when the enforcers stop enforcing, this is when the regime falls apart. So how does this typically happen? Typically this will happen when there's sustained unrest and economic shock. Right now, I'm going to tell you, the Iranian economy is in a death spiral, okay? It is so overinflated, things are so expensive and so out of whack, probably from sanctions, probably from a lot of other things too, but they are just an absolute mess, okay? I'm going to put a poll here. And that's how it usually happens. The enforcers stop enforcing. I'm going to say this, okay? Should the U.S. get involved in Iran and intervene against the government? All right. Might be a poorly worded question, but I think you get the point. Should the U.S. get involved in Iran and intervene against the government/regime? Let's get your take on that. Let's cover Iran, okay? So again, another point here that I think is important. Another point here, okay, is this. I like the thumbnail with my red arrow pointing to pointing to him. I think it's pretty funny. Showing the red arrow, the red laser arrow coming out of Trump's eyes. Okay, I got a little turned around some of my windows here, but let's get back into this, okay? Here we go. So, how does this usually happen? How would the regime collapse? First of all, the enforcers stop enforcing. Next, this usually happens in a pattern like this. Sustained unrest plus economic shock causes rising casualties and legitimacy loss, okay? Rising casualties cause the people to not believe in the regime anymore. Eventually, the people that are the enforcers know the people that are just the people, okay? And when the enforcers get infected by the same sentiment that the people have, okay, that's when people stop enforcing the law and its legitimacy loss. Refusals to fire, desertions, factional rivalry, the IRGC versus the regular forces versus the besieged. Elite bargaining, when some negotiate exit, when some elite players in the Iranian regime decide they want to get out of there, or they want to stop, or they want to negotiate for peace. Some double down, more hard violence and more crackdowns. Others say, no, we want to have peace, okay? A rapid tipping point when the regime can't reassert control in major cities. Let's take a look right now. Have they hit this rapid tipping point? Okay. Right now, the regime is escalating repression, death penalty framing, shootings, mass detentions amid nationwide protests sparked by the currency and economic crisis while imposing internet and phone shutdowns. Okay. So right now, they are shutting down the internet. There's an internet blackout, phone shutdowns, all these things, okay? Let's go ahead and check this out. Let's check out this video, all right? And let's see what is happening over there. Let's see. I'm going to put up this map finally for you guys. Here we go. Another cool map. So these little points here, okay? The little points you see, actually I'll go full screen. The little points you see here, all right, are what is being seen is actually the points of conflict, the protests, the demonstrations going on in the country on December 28th, okay? And this place you can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different protests, okay? 5 protests going on December 28th to December 29th, okay? In a 24-hour period. Let's escalate this. Let's play this. The next day, look at this. The next day, the 30th to the 31st of December. Look at how many now. From 5 to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21. 21 protests. Obviously, the red ones are very intense. You can see in Tehran how many protests they have overlapping. Okay? Let's advance this a little further. The next day. Look at this on January 1st, New Year's Day. New Year's Day, I can't even count how many are there. I mean, this is like 6 or 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. I don't know, 5, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27. Okay, there are about 50 protests, 45 or 50 protests now. These are intense clashes. Okay, if you're wondering what these clashes are like, okay, this is what they're like.
Welcome back. Iran is in a near total internet blackout amid widespread anti-government protests. Authorities cut off communication more than 36 hours ago, raising fears of a brutal crackdown to suppress dissent. The demonstrations have raged for nearly 2 weeks in more than 100 cities. You are seeing footage there from the capital, Tehran, where some protesters chanted, "Long live the Shah." They called for an end to the Islamic Republic and the return of the Shah's exiled son. Meanwhile, US President Donald Trump issued another stark warning, threatening to hit Iran, quote, where it hurts.
Okay, so this is what we're seeing. This is what's there. Let's go back to these protests. That's what it looks like. Okay, back to the protest map. This is the type of protests that are going on, right? They're violent. They're, clashes. They're shooting. The IRGC and the security forces are shooting people, mass detentions, mass oppression, okay? But when I say they're shooting, they've killed 65 people already. Let's be clear, okay? They've killed 65. 65 people across the country they've killed. They've detained hundreds. And how many have they beaten? I don't know. A lot. Here we go. Okay, a couple days later, spreading even more. Look at the intensity around Tehran. Around Tehran, the capital city, it's not just in the main city. It's all over the country. All over the country. Look at on the 6th of January. January 6th. Look at this. Around that time, President Trump said, if you shoot the protesters, we're going to come shoot you. Okay? Remember this? Here we go. Here's the bold message from President Trump.
President Trump with a major warning to Iran as we approach 2 weeks of deadly protests.
So Iran's in big trouble. And that doesn't mean boots on the ground, but it means hitting them very, very hard where it hurts. I just hope the protesters in Iran are going to be safe, because that's a very dangerous place right now. And again, I tell the Iranian leaders, you better not start shooting, because we'll start shooting too.
It comes as Iran's supreme leader threatens a greater crackdown, saying, quote, the Islamic Republic will not back down in the face of vandals. Trump should know that world tyrants were brought down at the peak of their arrogance. He, too, will be brought down.
He's in no position to say these things. I'm sorry to laugh, but it's like, come on.
Fox News contributor and former Secretary of State Mike Pompeo joins us now. Mr. Secretary, thank you for joining us. Talk to me about the significance of what we're seeing unfolding from Tehran to Mashhad, all across 100-plus cities in Iran. The protesters.
100-plus cities in Iran. Okay? We counted. There's so many protests now, but it's across 100 cities in Iran. So it's saying, even if they're wrong, and that map is right, we had about 50 or 60 we saw, right? In some cases. I stopped counting at 35. Okay? Probably around 50 to 60 we saw. They might be right about 100. I don't know. All right, let's keep listening.
Standing up, even raising the sun and lion flag.
Griff, it's great to be with you this morning. Your point is very well taken. The breadth of this set of protests, the depth of this set of protests, and the scope of the different people, right? Business people, students, seniors, people who had been former government service, all out in the streets protesting, people from different ethnicities, folks from Baluchistan and from Esfahan and Kurds, right? People all across the country just can't take it anymore. They've been deprived of their basic economic ability to live a decent life and raise their families. We've seen these protests before. In 2009, we saw something that approached where we are today. President Obama literally refused to do anything, even speak out in support of the Iranian people. And President Trump has taken a fundamentally different view and a different position. I think that also encourages the people of Iran to get the government that they want. And I'm hopeful they'll continue this effort. We know this, Griff. The Ayatollah is not going to go away peacefully. He's not going to go away quietly. Hamas, Hezbollah, these are resistance movements, theocracies. They'll stay at this. That means the Iranian people are going to have to stay at this as well.
But, Mr. Secretary, will this time be different? And do you think that Ayatollah Khamenei doesn't fully realize how much trouble he's in?
Griff, it's always unknowable if it will end completely differently, but this is different. You already see Iranian regular army personnel refusing to shoot at their own citizens.
Okay, that's something we talked about, right? That's something I talked to you guys about, is that when we have Iranian citizens, we have Iranian regular conventional army, the refusal to fire, desertions, factional rivalries, going against the IRGC, the Iranian Republican Guard Corps versus regular forces. When we see this, this is a cracking of the code, right? This is the security apparatus fracture. Again, we talked about that when the enforcers stop enforcing is when this whole system falls apart. That's when the regime will collapse. So sustained unrest plus economic shock, they've got it. Rising casualties, legitimacy lost, they've got it, right? It's happening. The 65 deaths, killings is only what's being reported. Who knows? Maybe it's over 100. Maybe it's more. Refusals to fire, it's happening, okay? Elite bargaining, some negotiate to exit. Some of the elite leaders within the IRGC, within the government, okay? Within the regime, they're trying to negotiate and leave, get out of the country. They don't want to be there anymore. because they know, again, dictators ride the tiger. The people are going to lash out. They are the tiger. They're going to take them down. They're going to remember all the crazy stuff they did. You know, a security state like that. And I mean, we've all seen enough movies on it. You know that it's a brutal, oppressive regime in many ways, unless you fall in line completely. It's a rapid tipping point where the regime can't control the major cities. So right now, the regime is escalating the repression, but the refusals to fire are a big deal. And you have to remember that the Islamic Republic, I want to say this, the Islamic Republic is built around, okay? The Islamic Republic is built around the supreme leader's ability and authority, is around its authority, okay? A transition, especially a disputed one, can trigger clerical infighting, IRGC king-making. They make the king, right? They decide who the leader is. Okay, IRGC split king-making behavior. They're factionalized. Street mobilization exploiting elite uncertainty by the people. Okay, this is going to produce either a harder military state. This is why it's scary. This could either become a harder military state or a new transition to a different form of government. We don't know what's going to happen. Just because of all these protests, just because of all this stuff, there might be an even crazier leader that emerges. Maybe it won't be an Ayatollah anymore. Maybe it won't be a theocracy. Maybe it'll actually be a hardcore military dictatorship. Okay, maybe you have another Saddam Hussein or someone that rises up. Okay, as an example. So again, there's a lot of chance here too. We don't know. Does it mean they're going to become a democracy? Does it mean they're going to become friendly to the United States? I don't know. There's a lot left. There's a lot of questions here still. Okay. Let's see here. Okay, let's look at our map again. And let's watch how these are transpiring. This is the 6th of January. Let's see where we are. Look at that. Look on the 7th. I'd like to rewind this a little bit if I could. But on the 7th, if you guys saw that, the 7th was more widespread than ever, okay? Let's watch the progression one more time. See the 29th, the 30th, the 31st, the 1st, the 2nd of January, 3rd of January, 4th of January, the 5th, the 6th, it's all over the place. It's insane. The 7th, more, crazier. The 8th, the 9th, is a little bit less. That was the last part of this, okay? So, very intense time. A lot happening there. President Trump says we're going to start shooting too. Okay? We're going to start shooting too if this happens. Let me get a one in the chat from you guys, okay? If you think the regime is going to fall, if you think that the Iranian regime is about to fall, put a 1 in the chat. Put a 1 in the chat if you think the Iranian regime is going to fall over this next month. Put a 0 if you don't think it is. Now, we've been here before, like you said, in 2009.
It's called the Artesh. So you have the IRGC, the Basij, different suppression forces that the Ayatollah has used. He'll keep trying. I understand he brought some folks in from Iraq, some militias that have been working with the Iranians there. He's not going to give up. I don't know that he recognizes this is different, but the people do. The people can see that what's taking place here today is fundamentally different than what's taken place before. And I hope that they can stay at this. And I hope in the end, the forces of repression will decide it is not worth the candle to kill our own people. Let's get a different government. Let's go rebuild Iran, and it can join the League of Nations. Just be a common sense country, Griff. That's all we've ever asked.
And then lastly, before we run out of time, Mr. Secretary, you connect these dots some 8,000 miles apart, because you write that we may be approaching a geopolitical hinge point when you look at what's happening not only in Iran, but also in Venezuela. Explain.
Yes, I wrote about this. Undoubtedly, these are connected. The Venezuelans and the Iranians have had a long relationship. They've part of the narco-terrorist network. They've traded crude oil and money, gold back and forth between these two countries. Maduro, the Ayatollah are in league together, along with the Chinese and the Russians. And so what's happened in Venezuela is deeply connected here. And in the same way that President Trump made clear he was going to give the Venezuelan people a chance to build a democracy, build a better nation, he's now made clear that if the killing continues, he's going to do something in Iran. And Griff, if there's one thing we've learned in what is now almost the first year of the Trump administration.
But I do want to say this, okay? So to his point, okay, that we went and captured Maduro, the U.S. captured Maduro on January 3rd, okay? January 6th were the most intense days of the riots and protests in Iran, okay? Right around that time, Trump said if you shoot to the Iranian Ayatollah, to the regime, if you begin shooting protesters, we're going to come in and start shooting too, okay? Then you saw on the 7th, the 8th, the 7th and the 8th, the protests erupted even more, were even more powerful, okay? The outsized impact of the connection between Venezuela and Iran, I believe this is true, but I also believe rhetoric coming from President Trump saying we're going to support the protesters had a big impact as well too. Let's see if that sustains, and we'll see. I got a lot of votes from you guys and what you think, okay? A lot of ones. Some people say no. Some ones. A lot of ones that you guys think it's going to be the end. I tend to agree with you. I think they're about to be on their way out, but we don't know. It's hard. It's hard to see. We need to have all those conditions, like I said. We need to see all those conditions, like I said. Okay, remember those conditions, like we said. Need to have the sustained unrest and economic shock, rising casualties and legitimacy loss, refusals to fire, desertions, factional rivalry, elite bargaining, and a rapid tipping point when the regime can't reassert control in the major cities. Okay, we got a little bit more here. Let's check this out. And this is from on the ground, some people in Iran.
The Iranian regime tried to kill the revolution by killing the internet, but it backfired completely. Instead of dispersing, the protests have grown into a nationwide uprising that has now reached IRGC's strongholds. The hometown of Supreme Leader Khamenei has fallen. Last night was a historic turning point in Iran as protesters in Mashhad forced security forces to retreat and set fire to police vehicles in the city center. But the collapse did not stop there. We have reports that the strategic port of Bandar Abbas has been seized by civilians, cutting off a vital economic lifeline. But there's a dark reality to all this. As the internet goes dark, the death toll rises. So here's the full breakdown of the deadliest night yet. We start with one of the most shocking scenes coming out from last night. A protester in a car running into a group of security personnel. Take a look. This type of clashes likely accelerated after the regime shut down the internet. The government plan was to cut off communication lines and then slowly increase the brutality until protesters go home. But it didn't actually work that way. The security forces were actually forced to retreat in country's second largest city of Mashhad. They now only protect a few government buildings and can't do anything about protesters setting fire to police cars in the city center. This is a very big symbolic win because this is the city where the Khamenei was born and raised in. The holy city used to be a rock-solid regime territory, but last night it exploded. Thousands flooded the streets, chanting death to the dictator and even forcing out IRG forces in some areas. In fact, all across the country last night was a huge night. It was the 12th day of the protest on January 8th, and the protesters have now spread to 153 cities and towns. In the
153 cities and towns have seen protests. Holy cow. So it's more than 100. It's more than we thought. Look at all this. These are crazy, intense protests, okay? I mean, and tell me, give me a fire symbol. If you think those are very intense protests and intense riots, give me a flame symbol. Give me a fire symbol if you think those are pretty intense protests. Just want to see everybody's tracking. Yeah. Hey, Doc, how you doing? Good to see you. Good to have you here. I think they're cooked. Yep. Shiite pertains to being Shia. Right. I don't know if that's a joke, but some of the people that they're talking about coming from Iraq are the Badr Corps. The Badr Corps coming from Iraq. Okay. It's a militia group that's very large, has about probably like 10 or 20,000 members in Iraq that support Iran. And they're actually an operational force within Iraq for Iran. Okay. So let's keep on watching here, but this is some crazy time, some crazy intense protests. I mean, this is insane. Honestly, it's like crazy stuff. I appreciate you guys. Yep. We thought we were talking about protests here. Makes our protests look like not a lot going on compared to this stuff. Did you guys see the guy with a flamethrower blowing the flame on the person on the motorcycle? It was nuts. All right, let's keep going here.
And the protesters have now... It was the 12th day of the protest on January 8th, and the protesters have now spread to 153 cities and towns. In the capital city of Tehran, protesters actually arrived just a few hundred meters from the command center of the IRGC near the main square. This is the IRGC headquarters in the main city, clearly a very well-guarded location. We also had some protesters set fire to a memorial plaque honoring the former commander Qasem Soleimani. I really feel like he's having a very bad time in these protests, because in every city, people are going after monuments that are built to honor him. I don't completely get this. Is it because the protesters cannot find anything else that symbolizes the regime, or is it because they specifically hate this guy? If you're Iranian, maybe let us know down in the comments. And also, as you guys know, YouTube is not a fan of these videos that are giving you updates on protests. So if you can show us some support by hitting the subscribe button down below, it really does mean a lot. Now we move our focus to the coast. Protesters have taken over a key port city of Bandar Abbas. This city is one of Iran's most strategic ports.
Huge strategic port. Bandar Abbas is a huge strategic port.
Cities in the Persian Gulf, and it is crucial to Iran's economy and oil exports. Now it's in hands of furious civilians who are unhappy with the government's mismanagement. In fact, in some places, people are actually calling out for Trump. Take a listen.
Hi, Mr. Trump. Here is Mashhad City. Ayatollah killed my people. Please help my people.
Ayatollah is killing my people. Please help my people. Mr. Trump. It's crazy stuff. Crazy, crazy.
Please, head to Reza Pahlavi. Come to Iran. Baby Netanyahu, please come to Iran. Please head to...
Wow, I have to say, it's getting nuts and bad when this Iranian's calling for Bibi Netanyahu, please come to Iran. Trump, please come. Trump's one thing. Netanyahu's another ballgame. Wow, the stated policy of Iran and the Quds Force of the IRGC, okay? The Quds Force, Soleimani was the commanding officer of the Quds Force. Okay, he's basically the commander of their special operations units, but that makes him also the commander of Hezbollah as well too. Okay, which is a proxy force of the Iranian Quds Force and of the Iranian special operations. Okay, so that's why people don't like him. Soleimani was brutal. He was absolutely brutal. So that's why they're tearing down his, all of his pictures and all those things, because this was a guy that was a, special operations commander, but it's different than the U.S. special operations, right? We also have a terrorist organization that's under their command or under their influence, strong influence. Okay. Let's keep going here.
Iranian people, Netanyahu, please come to Iran. Please help to Iranian people. Ayatollah killed my people. Please help.
Well, guess what? President Trump was actually on a radio call yesterday, and he did make statements about what's going on in Iran. So take a listen.
What about Iran? Is the aim with Iran the collapse of that awful 47-year tyranny?
Well, I don't want to say it, but I will tell you they're not doing well. As you know, probably better than anybody. They're doing very poorly. And I have let them know that if they start killing people, which they tend to do during their riots, they have lots of riots. If they do it, we're going to hit them very hard.
Now, dozens have been killed. I know you don't do red line.
Well, what does this mean? What does this mean? I want to ask you guys in the chat. What does this mean? We're going to hit them very hard. Okay. Do you think we're going to do some type of special operations strike and capture or somehow hit the Iranians, hit their security forces, go after their leadership? Are we going to conduct a strike? Give me a 1 in the chat if you think the U.S., based upon that rhetoric, based upon the words from President Trump, is the U.S. going to do something? Going to not just intervene, as I'm saying, but are we going to conduct a strike, either special operations or kinetic strike against the Iranians based upon what President Trump said? Are we going to do this to protect the protesters and protect them? I mean, let's watch this again. Okay, let's look at this again really quick. Because honestly, this is news to me. I'm learning with you guys. I haven't watched all of this stuff ahead of time. I'm reacting in real time with you. I think it's just cooler that way. So let's watch this again.
Start killing people, which they tend to do during their riots. And I have let them know that if they start killing people, which they tend to do during their riots, they have lots of riots. If they do it, we're going to hit them very hard.
Now, dozens have been killed. I know you don't do red lines, but have you communicated to them what that limit of your patience is?
Well, some have been killed by, problems of crowd control and other things. And we're watching it very closely. And the crowds are so large, there's been a stampede. There's been 3 stampedes, and people have been killed in that. And I'm not sure I can necessarily hold somebody responsible for that. But
okay. First of all, Joe Saunders, thank you so much, brother. Appreciate your support. You are the best. Appreciate it, man. And guess what? Joe is going to get a big round of applause right here. Joe Saunders. Woo! Appreciate it, man. Thank you. Big round of applause for Joe. Okay. Joe's got an honest question. Big round of applause for Joe, first of all. You guys love that, right? All right. Big round of applause for Joe. Joe has an honest question. If the Iranian regime falls, what will keep Bibi in office in Israel? That's a great point, man. Great point. Because when you make that your whole life, I don't know. He might be like Winston Churchill and just get put out to pasture and retire because there's no one left to fight, So nothing might keep him in office. You're right about that, Joe. You are right about that, for sure. That's a great point, man. Great point. Anybody else have any thoughts on that? Go ahead and put that in the audience, or put that in the chat. Sorry. Joe Saunders, we need to stay out of this fight. Let Iran fight for them. Yep. Steve, 0. Okay. Got it. I appreciate everybody's opinion here. You speak Farsi. Doc, do you speak Farsi? No, you speak American. I love my chat. You guys are awesome, man. You guys are the best chat. You guys are the best chat. We're going to go round of applause right here. You're all getting a round of applause. This is for you guys right here. We're going to come back in a minute. But first of all, you guys get a big round of applause for sticking through the Benathon and doing an awesome job. Super proud of you guys. Let the word be known. Best chat on YouTube right here. Smartest, best information, best ideas, best interaction. Number 1. There we go. Anybody remember the Iron Sheik? Put it in the chat. Give me a 1 in the chat if you remember the Iron Sheik from the WWE days. Anybody remember that? Iran, number 1. Russia, number 1. America, 2. Anybody remember that? The Iron Sheik. Who remembers the Iron Sheik? Thanks, Tim. Tim, you haven't seen anything yet. Wait till you hear this one. And so, here's my big thing. Woo! We're getting crazy up in here. And I know you guys have a lot of love for the show. All right, everyone. Thank you. Thank you so much. We got a really great show. Tonight, our special guest star is Tim Burke, straight out of Denver, Colorado. Here we go. Doc K, you're from Denver, Colorado, aren't you? From somewhere like that? I don't know. Are you from Denver? Somebody else is. One of you. All right. Oh, yes. Oh, yes. The kettlebells. Remember that? He was the original Huck, too. He was. Russia, number one. Iran, number one. America, Huck, two. I used to die when I was a kid. And then Sergeant Slaughter would come out. Why am I Marine? Why did I become a Marine? Sergeant Slaughter. Let's see if we can find a clip of Sergeant Slaughter. We need a little comic relief. This is getting too serious. Hold on a second. They're going to ban me, though, if I play Sergeant Slaughter, but I'm going to do it anyway. Watch, it's going to be taken down tomorrow. But we need Sergeant Slaughter really quick. We need Sergeant Slaughter up in here. Oh, dude. This is wonderful. Oh, my gosh. Okay, I can do it. I can do a, here we go. Hold on. I can do a short. I think a short doesn't flag me. We'll get right back to the regular scheduled program, the intensity and the seriousness. But we have a little quick comic relief, everybody. Quick comic relief. We did not do South Park yesterday. Here we go.
I am a United States Marine, a drill instructor, and I demand respect.
Hell yeah, baby!
EPECT, respect. You got that, Jack?
No, I'm not sure I got that.
That's right. And the next time I see you, I want them shoes shine. I want that haircut. I want them glasses shine. And I want you to not talk until I give you the order. Is that clear? Right. I am a United States Marine, a drill instructor, and I demand respect. RESPECT, respect. You got that, Jack?
No, I'm not sure I got that.
That's right. And the next time I...
All right. I love it. I love it. I love it. And now I'm going to find another one. We're going to find the Iron Sheik. We're going to find him real quick. Real quick. Iron Sheik. Here we go. Here we go. Yes.
Introducing the challenger, the Iron Sheik.
The Iron Sheik. Iran, Iran, Iran.
It was very easy to hate.
Oh, look at that. Good. Oh, he's going to break his back.
Sheik gave them maybe the highest element of a heel.
Sheik now going to work.
It's easy to know. Why could be so different?
Indeed, the camel clutch applied.
The camel clutch. Oh my gosh. The camel clutch. We're taking it way back here. Well, one second. We got to see. Hold on. I got to find him. Iran, number one. We got to see it. I think it's here. Let's see.
I walked in and the Iron Sheik saw me, and everybody had told the Sheik, the strongest man in the world is coming. Sheik was very proud of his clubs.
Hold on. That's not it. That's not it. All right, everyone, bear with me. This is a very serious thing we got to do here. We got to do very serious. There we go. Here we go. This is it. This is it. Here we go. Here we go. This is the one. Freddie Blassie. You guys don't know Classy Freddie Blassie. If you guys know Classy Freddie Blassie, give me a fire symbol. I want to see what's what out here. Who knows their stuff? Classy Freddie Blassie. And then playing Michael Jackson, Axel F. Sorry, we're gonna get back to the really serious right here. I gotta find it though. I gotta find it, guys. I'm determined. I'm very determined. We're gonna find.
Introducing the challenger.
I think this is it.
The Iron Sheik.
This is it.
Iron Sheik. Iran, Iran, Iran.
It was very easy to hate.
I'm trying to find Iran, number one. Russia, number one. America, two. This is the original Hawk 2. Here we go. All right, guys, I promise this is it. We're going to get back to the serious stuff in 1 second.
Russia, number one. Iran, number one. USA,
Yes!
Russia, number one.
Yes, we found it.
Number one. USA, Russia, number one.
I haven't seen this in I don't know how long. I haven't seen this since I was a kid. Honest to God, I haven't thought about this since I was a kid. All right. We had like half the people leave. This isn't a serious show. This isn't serious. We're not going to listen to this guy anymore. We're serious, damn it. We got to have some fun, though, too. Lighten up. Lighten up, Francis. Who knows? If you know where that's from, put it in the chat. Lighten up, Francis. Put it in the chat. Put it in the chat if you know where it's from. First one to put that in the chat, where that's from. Lighten up, Francis. If you know where that's from, first one in the chat gets a round of applause. He gets recognition. Gets recognition. It does bring back memories, doesn't it? I don't even know where they came from. All right, we're getting back into serious stuff here, everyone. Quit your joking around. No reason to be funny right now. I can do what the hell I want, though. It's my show, right? And you guys are all on the journey with me. Let's do this. Let's see. Stripes! Frank! Frank is remembered in Valhalla. Frank is remembered right now. I'll take you to Valhalla myself. And if you remember that, where that's from, let me know in the chat. Here we go. Frank, you are getting the round of applause. Everyone, Frank Hamilton is getting a big round of applause because he's recognized. Frank Hamilton, 31, says it is from Stripes. Here we go. Frank, this is for you. Yes, Frank. Frank knew it was from Stripes. Lighten up, Francis. Woo! Great job, Frank. Appreciate you, man. The old Iron Sheik, huh? Old Iron Sheik. Nice. Let's get this going. Okay, we got a little more to go here. Serious topics. Let's get serious again. And then we'll end it on a fun note, probably. Even though this is some pretty rough stuff we're watching right now. So, here we go. Oh, this is CNN. Wrong one. Here we go. Wow. Okay, absolutely crazy town. You know, there's so much here to be considered, and it's so serious. You know, what we can do is just pray for these people that they, that the protests, pray that people are safe, that it's peaceful, that, the shootings stop, all those things. So, I mean, at this point, that's what we can do. And that's a hell of a throes of revolution. That country's beginning a revolution, it looks like. So we shall see what happens. But That is the news from there. And I have a correction also, and I see it in the chat. Sue had it first. Sue had it first. Frank gets to keep his applause. We're not going to take that back from you, Frank. If it's possible to take it back, I think it is. In my technological universe, I can pull it all back. But we got to transition. We got to make a quick transition to Sue. There it is. Now, here's for Sue. Good job, Sue. Sue had it first, then it was Stripes. Good on you, Sue. Awesome. And Sue is also a fantastic member of the Ferocious Optimist membership and my community. And she will be remembered also in Valhalla. Not Nate's Valhalla, but Valhalla in general. All right, here we go. Awesome, awesome, awesome. It is great, so great to have you guys here. It's been awesome spending my Saturday night with you. If you guys have any last-minute questions, throw them in the chat. Fantastic being here Saturday night. Appreciate all of you. Best chat in the universe. Best chat in YouTube land. And I'm going to do it one more time. We're going to watch the Iron Sheik because it took so long to find him. Okay, we're gonna check this out one more time because it's very important. It's very important that we watch this. Okay. We're gonna watch Sergeant Slaughter real quick. Actually, we're gonna go right to the Iron Sheik. We're just gonna do this. This is for real. Here we go. Now
Russia, number one! Iran, number one! USA, hardcore!
There it is. There it is. I got it. I finally got it all together. And I can't even believe I'm playing that. Isn't that awesome? Let's see what else we can find here real quick. Little comic relief before we go. You know, you guys, you know I got to do some comic relief before we go. I got to do it. We got to have a little fun before we leave. Who do we want to see next? Who's the next best? Oh, man. Macho Man. Macho Man's always someone good to watch. We got to put a little Macho Man on. For sure, I'm going to be like, they're going to block this worldwide. Let's see. Here we go. Let's see what he says.
Way to the top, yeah. Unjustifiably in a position that I'd rather not be in. But the cream rise to the top, oh yeah. Macho Madness, yeah, has got more to offer. I'm talking about all the way to the top, yeah. Unjustifiably in a position.
Let's see, what was this? Nope, no more. All right, guys, it's been real. If you have any questions, let's see if we have any questions in the chat here. Awesome to have you guys tonight. Did a fantastic job. Mark, I know you know it right away. Oh, yeah. Great to have you guys. Hey, I appreciate you, Cody. Appreciate all you guys. Thank you so much. Fantastic. Awesome. Thanks. I appreciate it, Tim. We're going to give ourselves a big round of applause because we kicked ass tonight. We kicked ass, everyone. We got a big round of applause coming our way. First of all, a little drum roll. We're going to go drum roll right into the round of applause. Shaq, clap it up. Clap it up for yourselves. Clap it up. Clap it up. Like football. Breakdown. Breakdown. All right. Breakdown. Oh, yeah. We got all kinds of stuff tonight. You guys